How we doing, everybody? I think we're live. Welcome to the Sean Atwood channel. I'm Ron Swanson, and this is our Royal Mess Live. We're going to have a bit of a royal-themed Q&A with our powerhouse of panel members here, including the wonderful Samantha Markle, PDINA, Michelle from Royal Daily Tea, and of course, Paula. So we'll be answering your questions. Anything royal-themed, just let us know. But before we get into that, let's just get some introductions and find out who you all are. Samantha, how are you? It's great to see you again, and welcome back to the channel.
Great to see you all again, too. Thank you so much for having me, and yeah, a happy Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And not so unfamiliar face in PDINA. How are you? How's your week been?
Oh, good. Doing well, hanging in there, trying to keep up with all the craziness in this world. Yeah. It's just a lot.
Well, we'll be diving into some of that craziness in just a minute. Yes. Michelle, welcome back. How are you? How's things been since we last seen you, and what have you been up to over the last few weeks?
Things have been good. Just really busy taking care of my parents. My dad had surgery, so he's doing better. And working, 2 channels, working a job, just trying to keep my head above water like everybody else. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy to be here and happy to meet Samantha and be with you guys. So
awesome. Really Awesome. Well, listen, guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed, and everyone's channel is linked below. Make sure you keep up to date with all the panel members. And Paula, how are you? Apart from your rather, horrendous accident that you were in involving wildlife recently, luckily you have survived the terrifying ordeal. How are you doing?
I fell off a horse, guys.
I was going to say, what happened?
I'm actually quite embarrassed about it because I've been riding horses forever. And the problem is I fell in front of the people who work with me at the farm, and they've had bets going forever. I always said that I was going to fall off a horse, and I fall off the worst way. Actually, I fell off getting off the horse.
Oh, no.
Fell off getting off the horse. Well, listen.
I have to buy them beers now.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. It's better than being thrown from the horse.
That is true.
You only had to fall so far. So, well, listen, we've done our little hellos, and without any further ado, let's get some royal chitty chat going. I'm sure you all have some little bits you want to get your teeth into, and I don't know who I'm going to pick on first. I feel like I want to pick on PDINA first because her hair is so fabulous today.
I stepped up a little bit.
Yeah. You've been, you've been posting regularly on your channel, and
yep, I posted today.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you've been uploading and the stories.
Well, today I spoke about this rumor of Harry being hospitalized, and it's not confirmed. And someone made a comment that, well, if it were true, it would be all over the news. And I'm thinking, not necessarily. I think this couple, they can hide under the radar when they want to. Yeah. And it doesn't seem far off that he could be hospitalized. I mean, you consider all the negativity that's been going on. He's alone in a foreign country. This lifestyle that he's now living is so far off his mark of normality that I could see him having a breakdown. And considering his drug use, his wife's uber narcissism, the poorness of the culture, the people in LA at the extreme, that it's different from other parts of the states in terms of the seeking of celebrity and fame and what it represents. I mean, it's how you navigate in that world. And I just cannot see him being able to adjust in a way that's healthy for him. And I can even see, I'm sure you all have seen this as well, Meghan is slowly breaking herself off from her relationship with Harry. She's in the single zone. And Harry is now alone in this world. And I think it's not faring well for him. I think it could be true.
No, you guys, I have a question. Is it me or have you noticed there's like this weird new PR spin that is demonizing Harry, that's trying to take all of the focus off of my sister. And it seems like the media are blasting him, disparaging him, like all of that taken together. Surely it's got to be really stressful for him. So when you talk about PDINA, about breaking down. My God, a person can only take so much. And what's really puzzling to me is that at no time has she or anyone else come out and said, you know what, it's a really hard time right now. Please, like, remember he came out to defend her and he said, don't bash my wife along racial lines. Remember that?
Yeah.
So he stepped up to the plate for her, but I don't see her stepping up to the plate for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
I did a video on that. I actually did a video on that about 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Because I started noticing, for example, this Dr. Shola, this woman, how she started talking about things and how Harry, I believe that it started from the moment Meghan Markle went on Oprah and said, nobody helped me navigate my way in the royal family while the idiot is sitting there. I wanted to not live anymore. Well, where was your husband? Well, he's sitting there. And Harry tried to kind of say, well, actually, you had help, but she kind of put her hand down on his hand to stop him from talking. So for me, the minute that she went on Oprah, I mean, everybody, do you guys remember? Everybody was saying, well, where was your husband?
Yeah.
Why wasn't your husband there? Isn't he in mental health? Then what do you mean? I mean, I really believe that it started back then. It just has been increasing, and Meghan has been testing the waters to see how it's perceived or received by the public. So, and I think Doria has a big hand on it as well.
Well, I thought that the lady who recently got into it with Marlene Headley, Ms. Fulani, I thought that my sister was to be working with some of the Queen's advisors about royal life, about being a duchess, and also it was reported by even her PR that she was going to Duchess school. So I think all of this, I didn't know how to navigate royal life, I'm not buying it on the grounds that it was salient in the media that she was equipped with a lot of advisement. So it seems kind of odd.
No, but I'm talking from the point of view of Harry, because your question said that the press. I believe that we've been calling this out for quite a while, but because we're such small channels, it's not picked up until some big
later
says it, or a big channel comes and says pretty much what we've been saying for a long time. Because when that interview came with Oprah, I think that we all went and said, well, what about Harry? I mean, she's basically trashing her own husband, who's sitting right next to her, who just gave up his entire life. She's basically saying she had nobody.
The Oprah Winfrey interview, Paula, you're right. But in my opinion, that Oprah Winfrey interview was all about to make people feel sorry for Meghan. That was all for Meghan's benefit, in my opinion, and it backfired. Remember on the Netflix documentary when she was really upset that people weren't talking about how she wanted to harm herself. Instead, they were all on the racist allegations. And she was like, but I mean, I wanted to, be like his mother and hurt myself when I was pregnant. But she couldn't believe that it was the whole racism thing that popped off, right? So in my opinion, the docuseries, again, was to make people feel sorry for Meghan and Harry. And the Oprah Winfrey interview was to make people feel sorry for poor little Meghan. Everything that he has done publicly has really been for her benefit. And you're right, Samantha, who is the person that people really are ragging on? It's Harry.
Yeah, not only that.
Anything.
When you guys look back at all of the, discussion about depression as being focal, especially in the Oprah thing. Well, we all know it was reported and salient in the media that Doria, who is a social worker, was her advisor in all things. So if she's her advisor in all things, why would she become depressed? And furthermore, how could she ever get to the point of suicidal ideation? I would suggest that's highly ineffective social work and counseling. So her mother was reportedly there with her, close to her during all of those times. So I'm not buying the depression thing. It doesn't really work.
Yeah. I don't think it's No one really bought it. I mean, I think anyone that said that they didn't buy it were called racists, you know. And I think when that whole racist thing came out, it was too much for them to handle. When people were calling them out about the racism, they tried to backtrack it. Remember when Harry did the interview and Anderson Cooper, and you know, they're just so, I think they're looked at very differently now. I think there's so much negativity around them that their brand has definitely taken a hit. And I could see like something major happening, because this is, I mean, it's going to happen either way, but it's just compounded with other things, the drugs, the case, the lawsuits, right? And Harry, aren't they still digging to try to get that information disclosed about his application and Harry's, you know, lawsuits he has pending? And it's too much to handle.
Do you not think with just, we've spoken about this before, PDINA, about the contrasts of regular reality for anyone compared to Harry's upbringing, the privilege and the royal side of it all. Yeah. I think he's done pretty well not having a breakdown up till this point when you consider LA.
Well, that's what, you know, I wouldn't even say that. How do we know he hasn't had a breakdown? Yeah, that we know.
Well, yeah, of course, publicly.
Yeah,
but I mean, I still think with if we all believe how into his substances and self-medicating that he is, you know that she has got video footage of him and pictures of him in not looking the best, shall we say. Like, I imagine she's got him in some compromising situations, and I think that's a factor in the control she has over him, because it's so mind-boggling the road they both went down, and and I don't mean he's allowed it, like, you know, the man has some authority, but he has the authority of his own life and the things that impact him. And it's one of those questions I always keep asking myself: what has she got on Harry, other than, you know, taking the kids and the power of the mother side of it, if you know what I mean?
Yeah. Doesn't he have a support system? I mean, we've seen him playing polo. He reportedly has friends like James Corden. You know, I mean,
James Corden is going back to the UK, though.
Yeah.
Pardon?
James Corden is going back to the UK now.
Okay.
What
about the polo? What about the polo friends?
You know who's out of the picture? David Foster. He's almost dad. You haven't heard that name in a while, have you?
No, you haven't. He's out the picture. Yeah.
I have a good question from one of the subscribers who sent it to me. It says, you guys know that Angelina Jolie is dating this guy called David Rothschild or something like that from the UN. Apparently, Meghan Markle has been trying to call him to work with him as well.
Wow. We don't really need Meghan Markle getting involved with the Rothschilds.
He's a young billionaire. He's, well, not young. He's 40-ish, you know, but very hot looking. He's apparently currently dating Angelina Jolie. And apparently Meghan has been trying to get in touch with him to see how they can also work together.
Wow. Isn't that something?
What do you guys think about the rumor that Tyler Perry and her might have a falling out? You know, Tyler Perry's a billionaire, and I call him Big Daddy. She calls him Big Daddy, right? He's a billionaire. He's got 2 networks. But apparently Tyler Perry's pissed, according to rumors, that he found out that Meghan was leaking the stories with the drones at his house. And I mean, talk about grifters. They get free houses, free flights from people. They use people left and right. And then this man put up a fence for them, for the press. He was trying to protect them. Yeah. And then it comes out that she was working with the press to bring the drones to his house. Yeah. So rumor has it that he's not too happy with Meghan Markle. So what do y'all think about that? Do you think there's any truth to that rumor?
I do. I think absolutely. And I think when she loses his support, it is over. Then Gail drops off, Oprah drops off. They're alone in Hollywood, and the only people that they really have are her agent. I think the Ari guy from WME. Like, I know he's a big time agent. He knows a lot of people, but if she doesn't have those friends and that support, she is going to be destitute. It's going to be real bad for her in California.
No, it seems like they both have leaky diapers. I mean, when you look at Harry, when you look at Harry spewing the stuff about the chocolate-covered mushrooms at Courtney Cox's house, when you look at Hollywood, these are people who guard their privacy for a lot of reasons. And so when it comes to Tyler Perry, he's not stupid, he's brilliant, and I'm sure he doesn't like being lied to. I'm sure he doesn't like being used. I'm sure he doesn't like the leaks. And when you look at powerhouses like Courtney Cox, Jennifer Aniston, Tyler Perry, you got to wonder, would someone like Angelina Jolie bite this hook after what she's been witnessing? Like, I doubt it.
Yeah.
I have a question for you guys. I'm going to put this out there. I'm just going to lay it out there.
All right.
I believe, this is just one thing I believe about Tyler Perry. I believe that Oprah and Tyler Perry, you know, when you reach a certain level, you think that nobody can fool you, that you're better and smarter than everybody else. It is just my opinion that they saw Megan as a small-time grifter who found herself in a very, very unique position, and they thought that they could manipulate her, and you know, she'll do anything, which is true. She wants to be friends with them, but they thought that they could control her, which is, I believe that's the same thing that happened to the royal family, because I am sure that Tyler Perry wasn't counting on Meghan Markle having drones sent to his home. You know, they can't control people like her. And this is arrogance. It's always been my very humble opinion, is what gets these very powerful people, because they never want to admit they're wrong or that they've been played by smaller.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation, but I would disagree on the grounds that it's been sort of a pattern thing and reported and observed by many, that my sister doesn't really have a passive personality. She very much likes being in control. And that being said, I think it was probably more the other way around. But I don't think she realized that when you're playing with powerhouses, you might think you have the upper hand, but you're not all that cute and special and wonderful. And you have to dot your I's and cross your T's. And the minute you're not trusted, you are done. So I think there were a lot of some assumptions there on her part. And you can't be reckless with people. You can't use people. Life is short. Even powerhouse people, they're in a business where they're used to being used. They're used to playing the game. They're used to being lied to. Yeah. So it would be presumptuous to think that she would get one up on them, I think.
Okay.
Thank you, Dinah, because you know people like Tyler Perry, what they did to Monique and Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah, I mean, I think they might try to play it to their advantage too, because I know that Megan is telling them things that we probably haven't even heard. So it's a very dynamic relationship that they have with Tyler Perry and other people. And I think Tyler Perry, he's all around wanting to be the race, like we have to protect ourselves from the white man. I mean, have you seen his movies? Like his angle is always that white people are the bad guys, and you know, the black race is that's being held down and needs to be protected, and she's like the savior. She's coming back validating these thoughts with what the royals did to her. And yeah, what are you saying, Samantha? Like, what are you saying?
But even before that, when remember when he let them use his house? You know, it's like the royals opening palace up. When you have people that are powerful and they open up their homes, they open up their lives, they trust you, to then hear about leaks, it's like, nix, not having it.
Yeah, but
I think it's more about that. I think he would have probably done a lot more for her had that trust not been breached.
But this is the thing. I think Megan could spin it. I think there's something she's saying that is not going to make him fully believe that it was her, because he really went far out to help and support her. And this is like a rumor, like maybe, you know, she could convince him that it wasn't her, someone leaked it. So we have to be careful about what she's telling him, because this relationship is extremely important to her. And I know Tyler Perry is already hating already when it comes to the people who are against her in general. He is going to be not so easily persuaded. You know,
I mean, apparently he was the guy who called. Apparently, allegedly, he's the one who called Bethany Frankel, the housewife, to tell her to take down her tweet when she was calling out Meghan Markle.
Right.
And
So
she hasn't come out and said it, but she said that. But it's pretty much a given. What do you think, Michelle?
Yeah, I think you're correct. It's like I just think it's hilarious how Tyler Perry thinks he has the right to tell another person their opinion. It's like, who are you, the godfather of people's opinions? I love the fact that more and more celebrities are coming out. It's truly, in my opinion, Harry and Meghan's 15 minutes of fame are over. People in Hollywood, they're taking off the Band-Aid. They're coming out in droves. And it's kind of frustrating, PDINA and PAULA, because we've been out here for like 3 years, right, up in these streets, preaching the truth. And now everybody's jumping on the Harry Meghan bandwagon because they know it's very popular and everyone's talking about it. But we've been doing it for years, right? People were saying that we're lies, we're full of it. Now people like Popcorn Planet, other people are covering it. Mainstream, Yahoo, MSN is covering. People has a royal section now. Everyone is talking about Harry and Meghan. I think people now are not caring. They don't care anymore about the backlash. They're just saying it like Kelly Osbourne, Bill Simmons.
And there's this thing about also that I want to, because a lot of people, it's happened, people say, well, why does Tyler Perry believe Meghan Markle? Well, Meghan Markle, as Samantha said, had a track record, but she was a nobody, so nobody really paid attention to her tactics until she hit the big time. Harry, for example, people say, well, why didn't Harry look how she treated her relationships? Trevor, Corey, because she was most likely cheating on, by the timeline that they gave during their engagement interview, she was still with Corey Vitello. So the way she treated Trevor, the way she treated Corey Vitello, the way she's treated everybody in her. I mean, the fact that she treated her father the way she did, she was treating her family the way they did, and still Harry was defending her. And I really do. I know I get boring about this, but I believe that it has to do with arrogance, because Harry thought she's going to do that to them, but not to me, because I am so. And this is why I said with Tyler Perry, why does Tyler Perry buy her BS? Because he feels that he's too powerful, that nobody's going to dare do what she's doing. And once he finds out that she is actually doing it, he's too arrogant to admit he's been had.
Yeah, he'll just go quietly. He won't come out and speak out against her, because that would be, shooting himself in the foot. He's definitely going to just go in the background, not say anything, and just be done with her. And I think it's going to be a lot harder to convince him to part with her.
It's an interesting thing you said there as well, Paula, about going to somebody who's so big that they would never assume someone this small could take them down. And if we believe the level of narcissism of Meghan Markle, you could quite easily argue that was preemptive, and that she knew that his mindset would be that he would never assume that she'd take him down. And we've got the wonderful Sam back. I'll give her a minute to get set up. I'll give you a minute to get set up, Sam. Are you okay?
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. If you can't hear me, there's a really bad storm here, so it knocked out my signal.
That's what it is. Yeah, somebody was asking about your sound, and I meant to say to them, there's crazy rain going on where Sam is right now.
Well, I hope you're safe, Sam.
Yeah. So last time we were recording with Sam, Paula got struck by, her place got struck by lightning. Sam's place is getting struck by lightning. I think it's a recurring theme. Now, listen, Sam, just since you're back, I'm going to just go through some questions from the audience. Okay, so to everybody in the, also, if I do this, do we all kind of fit in? No, we don't. Okay. Okay. So first question: do we think Harry and Meghan will divorce? Okay, or will Harry divorce Meghan, or will Meghan divorce Harry? If you think there is a likelihood of divorce, what do we all think? I personally think that Meghan, if a billionaire, business tycoon with loads of money and clout came along, I think that would be the most potential risk to the wedding. I don't think she would ruin. I mean, she's like she was a princess. Where do you go from there? Like, where do you go from there? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you do? So what do you all think? What do we all think? What do we all think about the divorce argument?
Michelle, what were you seeing? A billionaire? Yeah.
Basically, where do you go from being a princess? You go to a billionaire, right? I really do believe that Meghan and Harry, unfortunately, might unconsciously uncouple in the future, but we don't know when that's going to be. I kind of see 2025 in my little royal predictions that I'm not.
Okay, throw out some dates like that. Okay.
I do, because a 7-year itch is just an assumption. I think it's getting to the point where they're running out of content. They don't have anything new to share. They definitely need to rebrand them.
Drop out again.
So
you drop out again, I'll come back.
Yeah, Meghan needs to rebrand herself as the Ariel princess next door. So if she can't sell it, she's going to have to move on to the bigger guy, which is a billionaire. You know, where's she going to go from there? They might do some kind of wellness retreat on the island where they're doing their kumbaya. I don't know. But I think Hollywood is going to be done with them pretty soon.
Yeah.
And where else is she going to go?
Yeah.
You know, some Abby H has just put a comment up here saying from princess to influencer. I've always said I think the only reason that Meghan made Harry leave the royal family was she didn't know before she moved into the palace she couldn't do sponsored Instagram posts from there. She walked in on day one just like, and then someone's been like, did you read the fine print where it says you cannot profit from your position? And I just don't think she has any mindset of any rules applying to her. And tomorrow when you watch the amazing interview with Samantha, we kind of look at, you know, young, you know, toddler to young girl era Meghan, and we talk about what she was like as a child, and some of the things that came out about her mindset then was bonkers, because the topics that we were talking, and I'm not going to spoil it, I'm not telling you, but the topics that we were talking about were almost pre-programmed human reactions. When something happens, we respond in a certain way, and it's almost unanimous across the board. And she does not do that. And I'm not telling you, so you'll need to watch tomorrow. So moving on to the next question. Okay, moving on to the next question. Please ask Samantha if Meghan identified as black growing up. I'm just asking the questions that are given to me. I'm just letting you know.
Well, I think everybody, this is also salient. I think that most of the friends that she chose were of white privilege. That has been established. She didn't hang out with the black sorority at Immaculate Heart. Not my word against
you. Might need to speak up a little bit, Sam. The rain's winning.
I will say that, you know, even in school, she didn't hang out with the black sorority. She didn't date black men. So I would say, in my opinion, she identified as white privilege. Can you hear me okay?
Well, Shallon Lester, who was the editor. Oh, thank you, Neil. Najla, yeah, you're here. What happens to Drover's book? Najla, thanks for joining. Also, I was going to say that with Meghan Markle, Shallon Lester was the editor-in-chief of Star Magazine. She's actually suing Meghan Markle right now.
Yeah.
Including her at the Netflix. And I mean, there's one person you may never, ever want to cross, and that's Shallon Lester.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and Shallon said many times in her channel that when Meghan was a source, and sometimes she would get paid as well, or she would pay them to write articles about her. And she said that she saw her documentation and she called herself Caucasian.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. You've got your answer on that one. What about this one? I've seen this in the news today as well. Harry's so-called podcast that's coming up with guests, Trump and Putin. Have you read the report on this? I mean, Harry, the great debater. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, put your hand up if you think that Harry has ever done a jigsaw puzzle on his own, let alone freaking an interview of such a bonkers caliber. I mean, Putin being interviewed.
I guess I would say.
No. Not only that, I think we saw in Spare that Harry's focus is very narrow. I almost guarantee that, first of all, I doubt he would get an interview with Donald Trump. And if he did, Donald Trump isn't going to be talking about Todgers. So I think the scope of conversation would be probably non-existent and hilarious. I think it's just a dream. It's a pipe dream.
Yeah, I think it's just something that's been slapped out in the I think a lot of the time people hear conversations or they say, hey, maybe one day I'd like to have a podcast and interview Putin. And the news just goes, that's a headline for me. Thank you very much.
Ron, I just want to address Najla, the lady who gave the super chat. She asked about Trevor's book. I don't know very much about it. I think that he's trying to stay as far away as possible from Meghan, not because he's scared of her, but because she now means nothing to him. He's married a beautiful woman. He has daughters, or one or two, I don't know, and he doesn't want to revisit. I think he's embarrassed about that, And just to answer about this thing about Harry and Putin and Trump, unfortunately, prior to Harry knowing your sister, Samantha, prior to Harry meeting Meghan, he actually talked to Obama. He actually had an open door invitation by Melania Trump to drop in at the house. We saw them at the 2017 Invictus game and him coming to their White House. He used to be able to have access to that level of that kind of people. But unfortunately now, he can't. I mean, he used to be able. Don't you remember when he did the thing with the Queen about the mic drop and everything?
Yeah, but that was long before he became friends with Joe Biden. And that was long before he and my sister reportedly started campaigning against Donald Trump. It was also long before they started using their titles against the United States Constitution and shocking congressmen who, pointed out that it's forbidden. So I think in terms of any relationship with Donald Trump, I think Harry is more aligned with Joe Biden. So that's not very realistic at this point. Maybe back in the past, but not now.
Sure. Well, if you've got any more questions, guys, just stick them in the side chat. I'm keeping a list of them all. Thank you to everybody that's already put a question in. Make sure you're subscribed if you're watching this. If you can, share it, leave a like. And of course, a big shout out to our moderation team in the side chat doing an incredible job as always. So big thanks to all of you guys. So what else?
Sorry, I have a question from one of the subscribers here.
Okay.
Harry mentioned Dior in Spare as his dad's favorite perfume. Some sources mention other perfume brands. So is it Meghan or Harry inserting Dior, the brand, for a brand deal? Because Dior, remember Harry's suit was tailor-made for Harry. There's a lot of things that Harry has been wearing that are Dior, not Meghan. I mean, and Dior actually advertised doing Harry's tailor-made suit for the coronation. Remember that, guys?
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't advertised anything about Meghan, really, have they?
Well, I said on my video today, I talked about how I think that deal was with Harry and not Meghan. And that Harry is, actually, Meghan wanted to interject herself into that to kind of piggyback off of his deal, and it may come out that Harry's actually that.
Is it really a deal though? I mean, designers throw clothes on famous people all the time. It's not really.
You can become the face of a brand, just like Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, that's a deal.
Yeah, and
that's a contract. That's money. That's a deal.
That's what that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, but I don't think that's the case with Harry. I think they're just throwing free stuff at him.
Yeah, it's going to come out maybe that.
Okay, I'm with you.
And then Meghan wanted to have her put into it. That's why the rumor got.
Of course she did. Of course, Meghan. It's Meghan. Come on.
We're forgetting something here, you guys. Look at Johnny Depp. Look at Amber Heard. I mean, Johnny Depp, went through hell. We all watched that case. Johnny Depp is the Dior man. So I don't think it would be, in my opinion, appropriate for someone like my sister, who, according to many, is similar to Amber Heard, to also be a spokeswoman with Johnny Depp on their platform. I mean, Harry, I can kind of see it because they're men who have been through hell because of women. Like, there could be that whole component to it, but I don't think that any of those rumors are true. I just think it would be really funny if Dior would take on Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, Harry, and my sister. Like, that would be.
Well, no, we know it's not going to be Meghan. We know that for sure. But it could be Harry. I think it could be Harry.
Talking about Amber Heard, do you think that Meghan is beating the crap out of Harry?
What do you mean?
What?
Well, we have Amber who used to be very abusive, and we can see how Harry is when he's like terrified of Meghan getting angry or upset. I mean, let's not. I mean, I know you laugh, but people used to laugh that Amber would hit Johnny Depp.
Oh, here, listen, I'm not saying women can't beat the crap out of some dudes. I'm not saying that. It was the way that you said it and then just disappeared off camera. Okay, it was the whole combination of what you said and where you went that got me laughing. I was just like, what is she saying? Where did she go?
You know what, you guys, I gotta say, there are, and I'm not defending my sister, but I will say I've never seen her be physically violent. I've never seen that as possible in her personality. So I mean, I think the control mechanisms, wanting to be in charge, and maybe some manipulation, everything that's out there that's salient about reported narcissism may be true, but I don't think she's physically violent. So I would say no on that one.
I could see her throwing stuff. I could see her yelling. I could see her berating. I don't think she's a violent person toward him, but I think she's very manipulative. And to kind of go back to an old story about him being hospitalized, how there was rumors that they were sitting at that exclusive club, according to onlookers, again, we can't say it's 100%, but it's believable that she was sitting there pretty much blaming him for all the negative press that she's receiving. You know, the story about the Todger and Spare, and, you know, he's he's made her look like a joke, you know, comparing
but that's not likely.
In my opinion, she can berate him and maybe throw things and belittle him, but I wouldn't say, I think you're right, Samantha. I don't see her as an abuser, like physically, but manipulative. Yes.
But on the flip side, I think she's in control of a lot of PR, and at no point has come out in his defense. What I will say, though, we've heard rumors about her throwing things at the palace. We weren't there. We don't know. But we've also heard rumors about him being physically abusive with women. Whether and to what degree that's true, we don't know. So in a relationship, though, that is seemingly not healthy or seemingly toxic, let's face it, they've both been out there on the world stage lying to the world, probably lying to each other. So there's got to be some tension there. They probably have arguments like any couple. And I would say physical abuse within that relationship, probably not. I just, my opinion.
Well,
another factor.
Sometimes it escalates. You know, some people with my ex, nobody believed he was physically abusive. Nobody. Yeah. And even people who knew him all his life, when it actually came out, you know, even with evidence, they're still not seen, because you know this, Sam, abuse goes incrementally. It goes, and it goes up and out. And maybe Meghan has never been put in that situation.
No, for sure.
You brought up a good point, Paula, though. You said with evidence, like you had evidence.
Yeah.
There's been no evidence. Neither he nor Meghan has shown up at an event with a black guy. There's been no evidence. There have been no rumors. So I think for people to speculate and start a rumor about physical violence is way off and unnecessary. It's like, until you have probable cause, and you see something, I would say don't go there. Probably not true.
I think one factor, though, if we're talking about the sort of abuse that allegedly possibly could exist, if Harry is in altered states, even if it's not very often, if you're in an altered state and somebody tries to put the heebie-jeebies up you whilst you're in that state, it can have a very traumatic effect that long lasts. And if Harry has a relationship with substances where he's at a point where he's not in control of it, and that's the most algorithmically friendly way of saying it, and he has to regularly use, and she has a psychological grip on him, that could be something that exists, because it's such an altered state that he's going to remember the worst parts of it, and she's so disconnected, and our narcissism is such a high level. Sean, if you're still in the side chat, can you let me know the name of the lady? I'm pretty sure Sean done a live with a doctor who specializes in narcissism. So anybody who'd like to know a little bit more on the actual causes of it and all that kind of stuff, Sean can link the name. I've been through the dashboard, Sean, before that's question.
No, I just want to clarify something. I wasn't starting a rumor. I was asking a question, because I've seen relationships like that, and it's fair to ask. I've seen relationships escalate. Maybe she's not beating him up like she was doing with Johnny Depp, but maybe when she gets angry, she slapped him once. You know what?
Well, listen, it's a
I'm not
question
saying
that's
it's
valid to ask.
not a rumor.
It's a valid
If
question.
it's possible, because it
It's
can
a valid question. Right. So next topic. Okay. Visa news. Okay. Harry visas, loving a bit of the old party prescriptions, saying too much on his application. I've said from day one, and do you know what? I feel like we've not had a rant about the outrageousness of Harry's case in this country in a couple of weeks. But the visa, how are we all feeling? What has been happening in the world of the visa?
Well, I think they're still trying to go even further to get this information revealed from the Heritage Foundation. They're not stopping at the court saying that they can't have the information. They are going further. I think what's the next court level that they've appealed to?
Supreme Court?
Is it the Supreme Court at this point?
No, they have to go to the federal judge. They have to take it back to the federal judge.
Federal still? Yeah.
The judges had to answer whether they were going to release the records or not. They said no. So now they have to take it back to the federal judge, because the federal judge who ruled on that gave them the option to go back to him so he can make a decision on whether or not the records will be released.
When is that going to be revealed, that decision? Do we know?
They haven't, I don't think they've released it, but they're definitely trying to squash that. You know, he has a lot of friends in high places. I think Biden is like, you know, I'll squash it if you tell people to vote for me type of thing.
That's crazy.
No, they're
crazy.
They have a different set of rules than the rest of us. But here's another thing to kind of piggyback, Paula. So we all know that the Earthshot Prize is going to Singapore in November. And I'm sure you ladies have heard this rumor that came out that Harry's playing polo somewhere in Singapore now. It's like, how is he going to fly into Singapore with this whole visa debacle?
Wait a minute. That really?
I haven't heard about that.
I haven't heard that either.
Yeah,
I'm not smart enough to connect the two there when I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
he's traveled. How is this? Has he teleported? Do you know what I'm saying? So that's interesting. That's a very interesting point, Michelle, because how did he get there?
Private jet. Private plane, supposedly for a polo match. I can't remember who it was who mentioned it. So, but it was supposedly because they just mentioned he's always trying to one up his brother, right? So we know the Earthshot Prize is going to Singapore in November. The rumor is he's going there to play polo in Singapore. And I'm like, that's pretty random. And Singapore, they don't mess around with that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking for the visa time, wouldn't that be hilarious if he gets, 86 and can't come back? I don't know.
You guys, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question, guys. Call me naive. What if, since Paula, we were talking about hypotheticals, what if all of the spewing and spare, and what if the spewing on the application, like the blatant honesty, were all tripwires he was creating for himself, like self-sabotage, because he wants a way back, because he wants them to deport him, because he wants the safety of Great Britain again.
I'm just kidding. Not just kidding. Because
I wonder, because after everything that's happened, it seems to me like he felt like he was in between a rock and a hard place. Yeah. And if he was told that he absolutely can't be here and was deported, it would be a lot easier than haggling and stressing out more and jumping to try to get back.
Also, Sam, it gives him a card to play when people say, well, how could you leave your kids? It gives him that get out of that awkward question card. So interesting.
That could be very good. That could actually, I'm not saying he's an evil genius, Ron, but I'm saying that maybe now that he's found himself in that situation, maybe he can use it to his advantage, Sam.
Yeah.
Well, with regards to the kids, it's my understanding that he really loves kids. And so I'm not addressing his psychological fitness or parenting skills, because we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. He may be a great parent who, for all we know, she might too on a fluke. We don't know. But what I'm saying is, I don't think he would be looking for an excuse to leave the kids. I think if anything, he would want the kids to be over there in the safety, security, and amazing environment with the, that could be an issue.
But you know, once again, there is a massive rainstorm where Sam is. That's what you can hear. It's affecting her signal, or she's already dropped connection twice. So anyone that's wondering what's going on there, that's what's going on there. And yeah, I think there is links. I'll go and have a look now. Carry on.
I'm sorry, Paul, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I have a question. So just to kind of piggyback off of the kids, and there's news that Catherine and William were visiting with George to Eton. Can't you imagine that's got to eat Harry a little bit, because you know he wants to bring his kids to raise them with his family, with how he was, brought up in the UK, and here he has his nephew who he doesn't have a relationship with, who his kids don't know. He's following in his footsteps, that him and his brother went to Eton. Here you see now George might be going there. You know he's got to miss that out for Archie, right? Sad.
Because he's been saying many, many times, very publicly, that he's happy not to be in the United Kingdom, that he doesn't want to be in the United Kingdom, that that life is rarefied for him, how he's glad. The words that he actually, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but the words that he uses, that he escaped the freedom flight on Tyler's private plane from Canada to the United States, is like, you can see his face sitting at Oprah, telling her that she's happy to be there. Oh, I'm there. I'm glad I'm not my father nor my brother, that they managed to escape.
I agree with you, but this is the thing. It's not LA. He wants to be in Africa. He's happy he's not in the United Kingdom, but this is a man that wants to be in Africa. That's where they were supposed to be. This is where... what'd you say?
With Chelsea Davy. I'm sorry.
Has a baby, so that doesn't seem like that.
I'm telling you, LA, the lifestyle is going to eat him alive. You watch. I'm telling you right now.
100% for somebody who's out of place and lost and looking for something to fill a gap, who also likes substances in LA, and he's a prince. If he was cut loose in LA, I give Harry about 3 months before he's in a center, just sitting eating yogurt in the corner in a safe environment with a blanket.
Well, he's got the kids. Something is keeping him grounded and keeping him from bailing out, and keeping him from bailing out quite some time ago. So that being said, I've also seen some pretty weird chit chat and rumors about, a certain someone trying to demonize him, make him look like a drug addict, like he's not fit to be a parent, so that if there's a custody dispute, that she would win. And I think those are rumors. But I will also say, to his defense, and to some degree even to hers, they'll have to work that out. Like if there are substance issues, if there are marriage problems, that doesn't mean they're not fit to be parents, until and unless,
of course,
there's something there. Like if he went and got counseling, and they went and got counseling together, even from across the pond separately, for the benefit of the kids, for joint parenting with a healthy bridge, they could make that work. And that being said, I don't think that it's unlikely that he could return to Great Britain with the kids. I don't think he's unfit. And if he gets counseling, sky's the limit. So,
I have a theory on that, Sam, as well. I think there's some weird old law, because you got to remember, there's so many weird legislations and royal this and royal that from our history that are bonkers. Like you can still kill a Scotsman from the Yorkshire border with a crossbow. Totally legal. Wouldn't be implemented, obviously.
Crazy.
So I often wonder if there's some 300-year-old legislation that says any royal blood may be summoned back to the kingdom of with it is.
Well,
do you see what I mean? And just black vans will turn up outside Meghan's house and be like, "Give us the kids." If she says no, she suddenly falls off a bridge, right? Mm-hmm. And then the kids get. I'm just saying, the royals, you cannot underestimate what we call in Scotland here as the awareness, or the craziness, allegedly. Yeah. Please don't come for me. Please don't come for me, right?
Sam, didn't Disney? Sam, you're in Florida. Didn't Disney? Remember that big issue DeSantis had with Disney in Florida, and Disney invoked like a 800-year-old royal rule that until the last descendant of the royal the royal whatever, or the monarch of the United Kingdom was there, then that's when they could, I don't know, avoid paying taxes or something like that. They invoked that rule. So all the job that DeSantis had done, and they to get Disney, I think, to pay taxes, I think they're still arguing it, but apparently
it's my assumption that if they're still arguing it, there's something to be said for precedents and case law. And if there's something so obsolete and so old that goes back to royalty when the law began, I think it's really easy to argue and consider those laws obsolete. So I think there would have to be an update to that. I think it's arguable.
But according to the from what I know, a little bit of, I know at least in California, I don't know much in California, but Harry and the kids have been residing officially for more than 18 months in California. So they're legally residents of California, which means that California laws would apply in custody and everything else, unless Harry goes and applies for a divorce in New York, like Katie Holmes did from Tom Cruise.
Well, I don't think under English law, it's my understanding that if a child is a royal heir and born in Great Britain, the child is the property of the sovereign. And I don't think the United States law would preside over birth and royal lineage rights in Great Britain. So I think it would sort of fall back on Great Britain, but Lilibet would be a different story. So I think they'd have to work that out between them.
The American government will just do as it's told as far as the monarchy is concerned. I'm not being funny, but this is the British royal family.
But you see, Ron, the monarchy is not an heir. It only applies to the heir to the throne, not the
but from the information we have, sure. My point was, is there a possibility that there is 100-year-old legislation that we don't know about that could be put into play? Because I feel that's what's happening in his court case here, because that's fucking mad. And I think, and again, we're not in a situation where Harry needs the kids. So this point is one of these like water cooler conversations that we could debate endlessly. But Sam, you've got a point.
Let's talk about obsolescence, though. Okay. When you look at old laws, like in some places in the United States, you can be fishing on the river, and if you say the F word, you can be arrested because there's still profanity laws on the book. But times have changed, people have changed. So when you run across laws that are functionally and otherwise obsolete, you have to make amendments to that. There's case law, they'll be heard in court and modified given the fact that they're obsolete and a little bit ridiculous sometimes. So let's see what happens with that. It's too old.
Absolutely. Well, listen, guys, get more of your questions in. I'm just going to throw some topical discussion over to Michelle, just to see what she's been covering on her channel this week. Whilst one of my monitors has just went down. That's fantastic. We'll just push that away and carry on. What have you been covering this week? Let's have a little bit of chat there, and then we'll get some more questions gathered, and then we'll dive back into some conversation. Also, if you didn't know, people, we've got an amazing, 2-hour-long interview with Sam tomorrow night on this channel. This is definitely not a cheap marketing ploy to get you all to go and watch that interview. But do it.
Well, but wait, you got to tell them 3/4 of it is really bad karaoke. Yeah.
No, you went into some really good points. Everybody that's been asking about Sam's dad in the side chat, Sam really goes in incredibly into things that have affected her dad, her family, what it was like growing up. We throw some mainstream questions about Harry and whatnot in there, but during the interview it was fairly clear the direction we needed to go, and it's fantastic. And you will not be disappointed. So if some of the questions that you're asking aren't being answered, it's because you'll find out tomorrow in the episode that you got to watch. Oh, we got another super chat. Hang on a second. Here we go. So what about if they had already divorced, but it's not known yet to the public? If this is the case, could she use the D title? Although if the title would be taken away from her and Harry after the divorce. You might want to read that yourself, because my reading is about the level of a 4-year-old. So
wait, monarch is the one who decides who who uses royal titles and dignities. It's absolutely at the discretion. And if you don't believe me, please go to ukparliament.com.co.uk, search Harry's petitions to remove his titles, and you will read Parliament, who actually are the ones who rule and regulate stuff. And they will say that all titles, styles, and dignities are absolutely at the discretion of the monarch, and Parliament cannot mess with that. So it's up to King Charles to decide whether after a divorce, Meghan gets to use the Duke or Duchess, the Duchess title.
Right, but then she becomes princess, right? If
no,
she does not become, that's what
no.
said.
It's up to the monarch. It's up to the monarch whether, I mean, King Charles wanted, when he divorced Princess Diana, he requested that from Queen Elizabeth to not allow Princess Diana, Lady Diana, to use any of his titles. So he wanted her to go back to being Lady Diana. But the Queen said no, because she's the mother to a future royal. And at the time, the Queen felt that it wasn't her fault that the marriage was falling apart. Okay. So she stripped her of her HRH, right, but allowed her to continue using all of Charles' titles. Princess of Wales, Diana.
Okay, so Princess of Wales, that's what I'm saying. So are you saying that if he strips his title, their titles of Duke and Duchess, Meghan will not be known as Princess Meghan or Princess Harry?
What I'm saying is that the monarch, if Meghan and Harry, I got you, but the monarch can say, Harry, you remain a prince and you remain a duke, but you, Meghan, as an ex-wife, cannot use any of his royal titles,
even princess.
Nothing. Like the Queen allowed.
Another way of looking at it is Dr. Phil actually isn't a doctor, right? So she could have the Princess Meghan show. She could have, she could use that, and the majority of people will just assume it's an actual title, whereas it's her just pulling things out of her bum. But before we just get lost in that, Michelle, what have you been covering this week? Give us a little throwback to the channel content, and what you've been up to. Let us know.
Well, basically, just trying to keep up with all the news that keeps coming every single day. So I'm going to be doing a video probably coming out tomorrow about the podcast, about the branding, about some other things I've heard. And I'm also coming up with some research for my other YouTube channel. I've fallen down the Richard III rabbit hole a little bit. They just found his remains about 10 years ago. And a movie came out called The Lost King about the lady who discovered his remains in the parking lot. And she's going to find William the Conqueror's son, Henry I, in another parking lot. And so there's a huge debate about Richard III. Was he really a villain? Was he misunderstood? Was it rewritten? So I just like to geek out on that royal history. So I might be doing a deep dive on my other channel.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Great.
Yeah. Lots of research.
Just make sure you follow all the panel members and go and check out Michelle's stuff, because she covers a lot of history as well, which is something that I wish I knew, but I can barely keep up with 2 members of the royal family, let alone anything else. Okay, so let me just double check on the questions here. If you've got any more questions, guys, get them in. Otherwise, we'll just keep plugging away with Sam here. Sam,
go on.
What is there anything at the forefront of your mind that we haven't covered yet? We didn't cover in the interview that it's a brain worm that you just need to get out there.
Yeah,
let's hear it.
Gosh, I mean, everybody's so focused on this idea of time. So one of the things I think about that I've been sort of focused on over the last couple of years is that in the United States, under Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution, people can't use royal titles to interfere in American politics. So that being said, both of them, whether it's for galas, whether it's like the Ripple of Hope Awards, for example, whether it's women's issues, whether it was the Family Leave Act, they're not allowed by the Constitution to dabble in politics using royal titles. It's a huge conflict of interest. And that's why the founders of the Constitution wrote that in there. So I know that Ted Cruz, I know that Congressman Jason Smith, many have written in, at one point they were writing letters to the Queen asking the titles be stripped. you know, you guys are all saying, would she be called princess? Would he be called this? Would he be called that? We don't do titles in the United States. And it's true, anybody can be called whatever they want if it's their brand. But when you're talking about politics and legal matters, you absolutely can't do it. You have to use your birth name and a proper last name because it influences not only voter decision making potentially, but politics in general, when you're swinging around the false influence of a royal title. It has kind of, it has a larger than life perception to it. So I wonder if the titles are going to be stripped based on everything that's gone on the world stage. You know, Great Britain has experienced a lot of dissent because of all of the mudslinging, because of all of the title mess. So who's going to throw down this spike belt and say, you know what? You guys are free to be happy, brand yourselves as whatever you want, but you can't do it with royal titles. It's been abused, in my opinion, way too much.
Okay. Also, royal title. Let's not forget that the royal titles from the United Kingdom, that the monarch is the head of state, that officially represents Great Britain. So when Meghan wrote that letter or lobbies using the Duchess of Sussex title, she's lobbying on behalf of the UK government. Because a lot of people say, well, she's American, she's entitled. Yeah, but she didn't write as Rachel Meghan Markle. She wrote it the office of, you're a cat?
Well, and at one point we heard that, at one point we even heard that she was calling senators on their private mobile phones in their vehicles saying, hi, this is the Duchess of Sussex. And I think even those senators, if we recall and we read about, were like, excuse me. So, and you're calling me because, I mean, it's just, it seemed really inappropriate. So I'd like to see some.
We've got a few more questions here. I'm just going to play through them all. First one is, well, listen, I'll be honest. This one is about if your dad has returned to full health and how he's doing. And to be honest, you're going to have to listen to the interview tomorrow because we go into that. We go into that. I'm good at this. I'm good at keeping on track here. Okay, I don't know if this is a silly question or not. Have you ever met Meghan's children? I imagine no. Sam would be the answer to that, right? Or
none of us have. No, none of us have. No, let's just
suspicious and horrific.
No, there was no conspiracy theory, but you've got a whole family saying we've never seen pictures, and then at every video and every photograph, it appears to be a different child. I think we were all scratching our heads. So no, we haven't met these children, just like none of you have ever met.
Hey, they're asking, I'm passing it on. Now, I don't know if you can even comment on this one. Was Doria in prison at some point when Meghan lived with her dad?
Yeah, I hate that question because I've been really honest about that.
Okay, sorry.
People don't understand. No, it's really simple. I was busy. Dad was busy. Meg was busy in school all day. And we just didn't ask. Like, life was moving that fast. And since she was living with Dad, like if she lived with Doria and we didn't see her, we'd go, oh, where's Doria? But since she was living with Dad, had a very robust life and schedule, we didn't ask. So when I hear these rumors and I see weird things on the internet, I'm like, I'm just being honest. I can't speak to that. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, listen.
I wanted to ask you, sorry. No, you were talking about the misuse of the titles, right? When Meghan, have you heard anything about, because this is actually for this Congress to actually stop her using the titles. You know, they're the ones who should be telling her you can't. Have you heard anything about that? Any complaints or anything about from any representative?
I have seen no follow through. I know a lot of people were sending messages to Marjorie Taylor Greene, Senator Ted Cruz, Jason Smith. A lot of people were mentioning that. I mean, I think it's a violation of the United States Constitution. So, but then so is what's going on with the visa. So I don't know if there is some favoritism on the part of the Biden administration, or if it's in the works being investigated somewhere. I really don't know. But I think to ignore the Constitution is a pretty horrible thing, whatever the case be. Yeah.
Can I just say, I want to give all of the people who are watching here a massive shout out for your inventive ways that you change the name Meghan Markle and Doria into other things when you're referring to them. And I've had this is the first exposure to this culture that I've ever seen. So I'm learning now. Apparently, Doria gets called Dorito for some reason, and Meg has another name. It's all a bit cray-cray in the side chat. Okay, here's another question. And very much thank you everybody for your super chats and your support. It really does go all the way to us being able to push this content out. Does Samantha think Meghan will eventually come around and speak to her father? How could she live with herself if anything happened to him? Now, we do cover this, but because it's a super chat, I'm going to let Sam dip her toe in. Just a little toe dip here, Sam, on that one.
I'm going to say you never know, but we haven't had any indication of that, and so check out the 2-hour chat.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to say, I'm talking specifically to you who's watching this right now, because I've got a funny feeling you've not pressed the like button, and that makes me very sad. Okay, so if we can all just have a 5-second moment of silence for the like button so that you can all go and click the like button, share, and make sure you're subscribed with the bell on, because it's free. I mean, we're all, do you know we've taken time out of our lives to be here, and we're asking you to click a button. It's a button. So please, if you could just do that, that'd be great. We've had a lot of questions as well that I've not really touched on. People asking about, are the kids real, all this kind of stuff. I'm not really going to put that to Sam because it's not really a topic. That's a conspiracy topic for a whole other different live stream, not a question for someone's sister, because what's she going to say? Oh, yes, he's invented.
No, but
sorry, carry on.
I'll qualify it like this.
Okay.
The kids probably are real, that none of us have seen pictures. We haven't met them. Still, we don't know what the circumstances of the birth and their lifestyles are like. So we have to hold out for the fact that, yeah, the probability is that they're real. Can't take that away from them. Kids are great no matter what. They have to know that they're loved in the world no matter what. Sure. But because of legality and everybody in the news wants to know if they're in the line of succession, if they were born on this day or that day by birth, vaginal delivery, or adopted, whatever. I guess, that'll be to be announced. But
exactly.
We don't know.
And just to throw a spanner in the works, I'm just going to say, there's no way she can know that. Okay, they could be freaking harvested from alien lizard pods for all we know. Okay,
it's not like Samantha's in constant contact.
Exactly. She's not on the freaking babysitter list. You know what I mean? Auntie Sam's not nipping around for popcorn and movie night with the freaking niece and nephew. Do you know what I'm saying? We wish we knew.
It's not just me; it's other family members too.
Of course.
We kind of know as much as you guys do right now. So
that's an interesting question. Do grandparents have rights in the USA? Because there's some regions in the UK where the grandparents are very much in the rights pool if a parent dies or things like that. If there's a situation that arises, in some cases the grandparents can overrule another parent for custody in certain situations.
Right.
So do they have any rights? Not from a custody point of view, but from a, I legally demand to see my kids.
Yeah, but it doesn't happen in a vacuum. And when you've got a lot of distance to bridge, and you've got maybe legalities, and you've got families disagreeing, not getting along, sometimes grandparents have to petition the courts for those rights, like for a visitation schedule.
Sure.
And that's good. I think that's ultimately healthy for the kid, because when you take the adult sparring and the ego out of it, the kids need a bigger sense of family. The kids might like to know their grandparents, and at one point,
of course.
So if they get a sense of that when they're younger, and then they're older, when they're older, they can decide to what extent they want to have a deeper relationship with those family members.
But what I would like to say to that is when you're a child and you have a disconnect to your extended family, when you get older, you're going to be so resentful. Why did I not have a relationship? Because that bond comes from the years of growing up together, the history, the memories. Meghan and Harry are disconnecting their children from so much of their family line that it's not going to be very meaningful in a meaningful way once they're older and they do have the choice, like you were saying, Samantha, to have these.
Well, and when you talk about choice, I think it's really important. Like some courts and the law in some states says that parents can petition for that if there's already an existing bond. But let's talk about choice. Now they're letting 5-year-olds decide what gender they want to be. Why don't you ask the kids if they'd like to meet their grandfather, their aunts, their cousins?
We're putting too much.
Their choice too, right?
We're putting too much assumption on Meghan Markle having a human lateral thought process here. I mean, and I'm only saying that because of our discussion the other day. You'll all learn tomorrow in the interview, because we go over the fact that those kids all know Meghan's version of you and your family. That's the problem. And they're going to be toxically conditioned by the vat of toxicity that Meghan Markle is. The woman's track record for relationship destroying it, moving on, is wild. I mean, it's wild. And it really is. So, you know, it's one of those ones we can go around in circles all day with it. And I love the input that Sam puts into this, because she's really the only person here that has that inside knowledge into what I clarify as important information on Meghan, which is her history before she became famous and how she acted then.
No, but I mean, even in a divorce, you don't want to use children as a pawn. So like even in one of my marriages, you know, I made sure that we had a tight bridge. I wouldn't badmouth the child's father in front of her, because you don't get adult politics and dump that on children. It's not healthy for them.
Oh, yeah, but listen.
It affects their self-esteem, their identity. So at one point I was going to say, to speak to what you're saying about, you know, everybody knows she's this, they're that. The kids are going to get to the age in school where they Google their names and Google what was going on in the media, and they're probably going to figure out, gee, we didn't have a chance to meet any family. I'd like to meet my family. And they should have that option. It should be their choice.
I genuinely think that when Meghan Markle's kids get handed smartphones, it's going to be Meghan Markle's search engine that's installed on the phone, where the word Markle is removed from the search engine. You got to understand who we're dealing with here, okay? We're talking about like the mothership of narcissism. Okay?
You're also forgetting something. These children have to interact with other children, especially when they get to high school or even before high school. And kids can be cruel. Can you imagine? These two children are going to be bullied, ridiculed, made fun of, because even if Meghan tries to keep things away from them, she cannot, unless she keeps them in jail or prisoners at home, or, you know, home education or whatever you want to call it. So they never have any world interaction. Children are going to socialize with other people who are going to tell them, do you know?
But that you've got to remember, Meghan could have a toxic circle of friends with little toxic children that all know the truth because Meghan's pre-programmed them. It would be easy for her to keep those kids in a bubble, probably until mid-teens, I would think, before the rebellious phase kicks in. But I'm just going to say this now. If you end up at school with Meghan Markle's children and you think you're going to bully them, your parents will be assassinated, okay? Your parents will be taken out by the Markle squad quicker than you can say whatever.
They'll be sued.
She is not going to fuck around at all. She is not going to fuck around with any of this.
They'll be sued most likely.
No,
hell yeah.
Never okay. Kids are off the table. Leave the kids alone. You know,
I think the smartest thing they could do, like the United States is different. Culturally, socially, it's different. And there is something to be said for kids being in a social environment where they have to learn about teamwork, they have to learn about pecking order, they have to learn how to interact normally psychosocially as kids. So that being said, the smartest thing they could do would be to enroll them into school. They've got all the legal protection, they've got all of the accolades, they've got all the family money. Give them different names, enroll them as normal children in a school, and allow them to develop real social skills without teachers mollycoddling them or making excuses and giving them A's when they really got a C because somebody might be mad, the parents might be mad, and just hold them. You know, just let them be kids. Let them be normal kids.
And I just want to add, definitely not for legal reasons. We were discussing the possibility of abuse in a relationship where we're not making statements about facts. We are not making accusations at all. Just making that clear, YouTube algorithm. We're not making any fact statement. We're just discussing the possibility of the level and likelihood of physical to mental abuse within that relationship, and then we touched on the kids, but we're going to move on from that.
I just want to say something really quickly. Meghan Markle fought really hard to have her kids get the Prince and Princess title. I don't think she wants to enroll her kids as John Smith in his school. She will want her kids to be known as Prince Archie and Princess Lily.
I 100% agree with that.
To make sure, in my very humble opinion, from what I've seen publicly of your sister, she will want to make sure that her kids are ranked, not linked.
Yeah, but here's a news flash, and we all know that kids can be cruel. Kids from celebrity families, kids from all walks of life. I think when you enroll kids and you give them that label, that might carry some bullying. Some students might go, oh, so you think you're a prince? Oh, so you think you're... In other words, that might not be a good thing for them socially. So I think... And I think similarly, you know, from a parent's perspective and from the kids' perspective, they should want to feel like people like them for who they are, not for a title, not because teachers were paid to follow them around and give them good grades. I mean, I think there's something to be said for earning that. And that'll go a long way with the kids' self-esteem. They'll be like, wow, people don't know I'm royal and they really like me for me. I think it would be stupid to put them in an American school with the title. We don't do titles in America.
I think
it could cause some bashing and bullying.
You know, I was prepared to disagree with you there until you reminded me it was an American school, because I think over here in private school it would carry a lot of weight if you were a prince or a lord or anything like that. But I think you're probably right. I think
we're working under the assumption that Meghan is not supposed to be using titles to lobby Congress, US Congress, and she's using it. Gloria Steinem is introducing her as the Duchess of Sussex. The Robert F. Kennedy is introducing her as the Duchess of Sussex. Meghan doesn't write Rachel Meghan Markle. She writes Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, and sometimes not even that name. She only says the Duchess of Sussex. So clearly this is a woman who you will have to pry out of her dead cold fingers the use of that title, because she's not letting go. She's not supposed to be writing letters to Congress and lobbying, saying from the office of the title, the Duchess of Sussex.
But I mean, that's all cool, wonderful. But my question becomes, doesn't she realize that it's kind of making a fool out of her in the eyes of so many?
No,
The Gloria Steinem thing. You know, let's face it. I went back and did a lot of research on feminism in the 70s. In my opinion, my sister does not represent true feminism. So that being said, I think people like Gloria Steinem know that. So when you attach Duchess of Sussex or any other royal title to social issues, you better not only talk the talk, you better walk the walk, because people whisper, and when there are contradictions and hypocrisy, you're gonna be called out on it so quick, and it's gonna kill other opportunities and make you look foolish. And I think that's already happening. If you don't represent what you say you do, you're done. And I think
she's been called out on that, Samantha. People make fun of her all the time, saying she's a feminist, yet no one knew who she was until she was married and got a royal title, and now she gives her kids the Prince and Princess title, and said that they didn't want to be attached to the royal family, they wanted to be free. So they're both hypocrites. Everyone knows they're hypocrites. And Paula, you are right, that woman will never ever get rid of that Duchess title. Even if she's divorced, I guarantee you it's going to be part of the deal, because she's branding herself as the Duchess of Sussex. That is her brand. So she's never going to get rid of that title. She's going to go down fighting. Even if they get divorced, she's going to still be like Sarah, the Duchess of York. She's going to make it part of her deal, in my opinion.
What do you think, PDINA? What do you think? I want to hear your take on this. What do you think, Meghan, and the titles?
I think she's just going to keep trying to use it and use it to become something that is not in non-existence here in America. That's the uniqueness about it that she wants to own. And unfortunately, because of this, like what you were saying, Samantha, we just don't use them here. It's so unique that if she does use it, people will fall for it and they won't see the legalities around it. That would even be confusing to see legalities around calling herself this. I mean, that is in itself confusing to a lot of people around titles, because
well, and what's kind of glaring about it, though, I don't know whether it's a conservative crowd or even the liberal crowd. What I see people talking about is the fact that she did 72 days of official duty, wanted to disassociate with the royal, step down from royal duties. So you're not really royal in the sense of being able to use a title to your advantage because you don't really represent that title.
Right, but we don't even know what it means. So it's like she'll use it and people will fall for it, like, oh, she's a duchess or she's a princess or whatever. And unfortunately, it will be to her advantage because people just, they won't know how to look into or look at it per se.
Maybe what we should do, because it's my understanding you can go to royaltitles.com. There are a lot of them. You can buy a quarter square of land.
I have one.
Lady.
Established titles.
Let's all get one. I really think we should do that.
Get one from my sponsor, Established Titles. It's a novelty gift that you can get, you know. And hey, maybe we should start doing it for the sake of having a title and not giving
but you see, it's not the same. It will never be the same as you being part of the real. You know, I was actually shocked. You know, when the elections were for Trump, all the newspapers. Oh, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, is making history by being the first British royal to vote in an American election. I was actually looking at it today because I was looking at Meghan Markle voting and stuff. And it's like nobody was picking up on the illegality of her using the royal title. So when you say that she realized that she looks like dumb, why? Gloria Steinem is endorsing her as the Duchess of Sussex. Congress is for the Duchess.
But here's the clincher. The title is only for PR because she wouldn't be able to vote without her American citizenship. So she didn't give that up. Wonder why that is. And so to vote as an American when you go cast that vote, but to proudly boast that you, the Duchess, have voted. No, why aren't you proudly boasting, I, Meghan Markle, American citizen, am voting? Why are you like shadowing and subordinating the American part of it, but using the title, a royal foreign title?
Yeah,
we are.
That's a slap in our face as Americans. Her even using that, knowing what the Constitution says, right?
Exactly. And anybody can look that up. Article 1, Section 9. It's forbidden, and especially where, even if it's for charitable causes, the emoluments clause, you can't make money, you can't take in any money, even for charities or whatever you want to call it, when you do galas using a royal title and you're interfering in American politics. That has to stop. I'm urging Senator Cruz to get on the ball with that because he was pretty outspoken about it. Because if they can do it, let's face it, anybody can. And then we start eroding a really important constitutional protection with our voting rights, our foreign affairs.
Do you think Prince Harry will try to become American citizen? See, he could become a dual citizen. So I'm kind of wondering about the titles and how that would play a part if he became an American citizen.
He has to give them up. According to the UK, the United States of America, he has to give it up. But they have made so many exemptions already for them that, you know, you never knew, because he was a born prince, which is not, but he might use it.
But look at Princess Grace. There's nothing that says you can't be an American citizen and have a title. But when you're dabbling in politics, your American citizenship has to precede the title. Do you see what I'm saying? You can't.
Yeah, I think I
can't use propaganda, and you can't advance a political narrative using a foreign title. You have to do it as American with your name.
Like Jamie Lee Curtis is an actress. She does have a royal title. She's an American, but she doesn't use her title in America. You're right. And she doesn't get into politics and use her title either.
Right.
So
Right.
they really need to be careful with that, because they
You don't need to. You can't use your title to interfere in any form of politics whatsoever. That's one, I think, the caveats for that. And I just want to clarify something, because I see a lot of people still doing this. You can go here, which is the UK Parliament.
Oh my God!
No, I am, because
I see them all talking in the side chat.
And it's still remove the titles Duke and Duchess of Sussex from Prince Harry and Meghan, and the title of Prince from Prince Harry. Now, it was rejected by Parliament, and they give you the reason why it was rejected in writing. The petition was rejected. Why was this petition rejected? It's about honors and royal appointments. So they have nothing. I'm gonna just quickly, just listen. We can't publish petitions about honors and appointments, royal appointments or honors, including asking for people to be given or have royal titles removed. In any case, the use of royal titles are a matter for her, well, this was when the Queen was alive, for Her Majesty the Queen, and not the government or Parliament. This is directly from Parliament. And the reason why I'm saying it for the 100,000 times is because, in spite of the fact that Parliament has answered that question in writing to the many parliamentary petitions, people are still saying that it's Parliament who has to remove the Prince title. It's not. Parliament has to be involved with the succession amendment. Any succession in the line of succession changes, yes, Parliament has to be involved, but not royal title.
Well, just to clarify that with everybody in the side chat, you're very lucky how patient Paula is, because, to be honest, you can Google it yourself. She told you exactly where to find it. It's settled now. You've got more patience than I do, Paula, for looking things up and answering people. They've got fingers, man. You know, we're delivering the information. They can look it up. It's not difficult. So I appreciate you for taking it.
As you said, it seems to be bouncing onto Parliament.
Yeah.
Made it clear that it really lies with the Queen. That being said, I thought I had seen several times the Queen say that they would be stepping down from royal duty and they would not be using their title. Where did that go? Was that brushed under the rug after the Queen passed away? Like, I think she made it clear she did not want them using the royal titles when they stepped down.
Yeah. And now that King Charles came into play, what was it when he went to court? Harry, call me His Royal Highness, in spite of the fact that the Queen said, no, you can't do that anymore.
I think that's actually protocol, Paula. Under the court, it was actually protocol. Yeah.
No. And under the terms of the agreement with the Queen, is that they cannot use HRH only for royal engagements.
In the court case, I think it was protocol.
Yeah.
That was a private matter on a civil court case.
It's okay. She's not attacking you, Paula.
No. It's just I'm sorry, I can't hear very loud, so I speak loud. So I apologize if I come across as mad, but I'm not. I just can't hear.
Just come across as mad, but I'm not. Listen, if you were mad, you'd say that anyway. So we don't know.
I would. Oh God, yeah, I don't have a problem saying I'm angry.
Right. I love this.
I think what we're not banking on, though, is that she's going to break the rule. She's going to use the title. It's going to be something that she can get away with, because it's just not something that.
Can we just reiterate the fact that all of these things that she's not allowed to do will have been written down, and she'll have had to read them? Is there any proof Meghan can read? Everything that seems to be a problem with Deal or No Deal seemed to be written down. She never bothered to read that either. So I'm just saying, we may be giving Meg too much credit here for assuming that she even bothered to read the contract.
Right. Sorry, I just think we look at the legalities of things sometimes, and the rules just don't apply to certain levels of people. I mean, look at the law with the Freedom of Information Act with Harry. It clearly states that you can ask for this information and it should be given over. They're not following the law. They're not turning it over. So Meghan using a title, being branded as a duchess, she's going to do it. And it doesn't matter what the law says, because she's going to be looked at as a duchess because, oh, she's a duchess. We don't know what it means. We like the sound of it. It's something to do with royalty. Go ahead, girl, be your duchess. And that's just what it's going to be.
You know what?
All doesn't matter.
All of this begs the question, and I think it's happening in the world politically. It's happening socially. Yeah. Why are there two tiers of justice? Why are there two definitions of the truth? Why are there different sets of rules? It's like laws are meant to be generalized. You have to look at cases.
Do you really want the answer?
I'm sorry, you and I couldn't get away with that. You know,
I don't think you really want to scrape too much at the label that covers up the truth behind what you're asking there, Sam, because I could quite easily go on a 2-hour rant about exactly why the rules don't only seem to apply to us, the bottom level of the world, before we get up into elitism and all the rest. But we'll save that for another night. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, let me just jump back in and let me just reiterate as well. Tomorrow night we have a full 2-hour long interview with Sam. Don't miss it. On the 9th of July, I believe, we have Princess Diana's bodyguard, and he talks about. I'm going to play the trailer. I've emailed Sean to ask if I can play it, and he's not emailed me back. But the last thing he said was, "I'm in charge." So I've made the call to play the trailer for you, and we'll play it at the end before as we're going out. But it's going to be a good one. He's a proper bodyguard. We're not talking about a dude that was like hired for a weekend. It's spicy. And then we have an hour-long Diana mashup of all the guests we've had over the last few years. I say we, I mean Sean, all put together for your viewing pleasure. So we'll give you some information on that. But don't forget, tomorrow we have the full in-depth interview with Samantha. Some of your questions have been ignored tonight about her family and things like that, because we're going to cover it all tomorrow. My dog is pawing at me. What do you want? There's nothing here for you.
Michelle, I wanted to ask you something. You saw the royal ascot right now. What did you think of the dresses and everything? I mean, it must really burn. I mean, everybody looked beautiful. I mean, can you imagine Harry could have been there with Meghan? Michelle, what do you think? I mean, did you see the fashion, how they all look beautiful? Because you have a fashion channel as well.
I did. I thought they all looked really pretty and gorgeous, and I was really happy for King Charles. I know it's not fashion, but they won the horse race. I thought that was really sweet. He was very tearing up. You can tell that they're a family and that they all love each other. And I know you don't agree, Paula, but I do believe that Harry does miss his family, because 3 years ago he was all about escaping with Meghan. It was new, it was fun. But he's even said in previous interviews, he kind of feels like he still might have a chance to go back into the royal fold. I don't think he's quite 100% abandoned his family. So I have to say, when he probably sees those pictures, it's probably sad for him. He's probably glad that his dad's carrying on his mother's.
But okay, no, wait a minute. Let's back up. I think that sounds kind of fluffy, fairy tale-ish.
No,
no. Let me just speak to this. What we saw in Spare, what we saw in Netflix. You're talking about someone who just went on a worldwide rampage, bad-mouthing his family, giving out the layout of royal residences.
Why did he do that for Meghan?
No, I don't believe he did that for Meghan. I believe he did that of his own volition. He's not a 5-year-old. So don't make excuses for him. I think he's a grown-up. And just like he sat there when she mocked the Queen in a curtsy, he could have said something. No, don't. He's not 12 years old. Right. He's a grown man. So I think to say he misses his family and only make that the focus. No, what about he needs to be accountable to his family, apologize, and realize all the damage that he has been a party to. And this is not my opinion. The world watched. Right. So stop making it he lost Diana and he misses his family. That's a secondary issue. What is that issue is what he has knowingly and recklessly done to them. And come on.
Come on back. Like I said, I do agree with you. I'm not saying he's innocent and he's this poor little 12-year-old boy. No, I'm not saying that. What the point I was making was that I do believe he kind of has some regret, some buyer's remorse, because I don't think he's that happy with your sister. I think he's realizing now what he's done. I'm not saying he's innocent, but the guy doesn't look happy to me. He doesn't. Well, I think he has some buyer's remorse, and I just think he's looking at his family from afar, thinking.
But it's not just buyer's remorse. He did you say. What you're suggesting is like the crazy neighbor who runs a car into the living room, who loved his neighbor, runs the neighbor over. The neighbor's in the hospital and goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I miss you and I love you." Yeah, after you run me over, you're going to say that. It's really dysfunction. Right. So it doesn't matter if he misses them. I think what matters is what he's willing to do to try and make up for what he's done.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Dinah?
Harry's is all jacked up. I think he stopped growing mentally when his mother passed away. It is no excuse for his behavior now. He just has this warped sense of adulthood because he's been isolated his whole life. He is suffering traumatically from her death. But at the same time, you want it to be in an adult world where you have to pay your own bills. So you have to get out there and be a man and do what you're going to do. And I think he's just trying to have all. He's trying to have all worlds. He's definitely persuaded by his wife. But he, I think, is slowly starting to see this is not going to end well for him. I think because he did meet with divorce lawyers, didn't he? Yeah. I mean, Lady C talked about that. I think he's starting to see the writing on the wall that he's got to stand up on his own now and, hey, pay the consequences for your choices. But it's good for him. Let's just keep that in mind, because this is learning for him in a very big way.
Moment, like you said, PDINA. It's a teachable
moment. That's right. He's learning the hard way.
It is.
But also, I think that what he misses is not his family. Is the privileges that he held before. And it's my firm belief, and I kind of agree with you here, Sam, that had Harry and Meghan's strategy, the city, that if Harry and Meghan's strategy had succeeded in basically trashing the royal family and being absolutely adored in the United States, he would not be having any buyer's remorse. The fact, I think he's angry that their strategy backfired, and now he finds himself in the United States without any networks or any support, with no privileges, being the I almost say Spanish, hazme reír, laughing stock, laughing stock of the United States, if not the entire world. And he has burned pretty much every bridge back in the United Kingdom.
Exactly.
So not that he misses his family, but that he misses the privileges and the kind of life he had prior to Meghan Markle. This man didn't even know how to pay a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah. And again, that's not his fault. You've got to remember, he's a product of his upbringing and surroundings. And I want to just extend on something that you said, PDINA, about you believe that when his mum died, he changed. I believe who Harry was up until his mum died ended the day his mum died.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It stopped at that moment.
Yeah. But we're talking about defragment, like your brain splitting off, and you're creating a new self to protect the old self. And can you imagine the rumors circulating around all the royal corridors that we as fucking the peasants would have no privilege to, about what happened to Diana, that he had to hear over the years? And I think there's a lot to be said for the stuff we don't know that goes on behind those gates, the rumors, the realities, all of it. Because I'll tell you this right now, there was a pinnacle moment in the Diana's bodyguard interview where Diana almost preempts what happens to her. And it's scary.
The letter? Yeah.
No, not the letter. No, this was a private conversation between two people in a vulnerable moment. And it's bonkers. It's bonkers.
Something we've never heard before?
Well, as far as I know, the bodyguard, his name is Lee Sansom. We've been trying to talk to him for a while. He did this interview, and to be honest with you, I'm actually blown away by some of the things that he said in this, because he goes deep into conversations with Diana, just one-on-one. You know, we're talking about moments. It's bonkers. And I'm going to, like I say, I'll play the trailer at the end of this live stream for everybody to enjoy.
No, because it is terrible. So, I really do believe that Harry and Meghan, because, his grandmother, and in a way, I kind of disagree with you a little bit there, Ron, because before Princess Diana died, there are nasty stories about Harry being a nasty jerk. For example, when Princess Diana took him on a bus, regular public bus, and she had to get off because he was being racist towards the Pakistani driver. So, in my opinion, when Princess Diana died, he got even more spoiled because, he's the poor little boy who walked behind the coffin, And he was even more spoiled, more protected. The press immediately backed down. You guys remember that the press didn't even want to go near the Prince William and Mary. I don't know if you remember this, guys. Do you guys remember that Prince Edward used to have a TV show or something like that? And then the press was really angry because Prince Edward published like an article about William in school.
Yeah.
They said, wait a minute, there's a blackout here. Why is Edward publishing that? So, and I remember that Prince Edward's TV company had to take it down because there was a blackout about the voice. So Harry, you know, using the excuse of Princess Diana at age 12, 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say
worse.
Something here, and PDINA knows this very well because she was involved in this. I know somebody here, a little girl, who suffered a horrible tragedy. A horrible, you know, PDINA.
Yeah.
I mean, forget your mother dying in a car accident in another country. This little girl, what she went through, her mother died. And I'm not going to get into details here. This little girl right now, she's in a school. She was a little bit younger than Harry. This little girl is nothing like Harry. Mm-hmm. So she's not blaming anybody. She's she's in a school and she's happy. She has food on a plate. She's doing well in school. She's not mean. She's not acting out, hurting other people because of what happened to her and her mother.
Mm-hmm.
So
again, Paula, you've got to remember, it's product of your surroundings. Mm-hmm. Sadly, that little girl is, one of thousands of little girls who've gone through horrific stuff because of the places where they are, and it's horrific.
Let's look at Prince William, though. She's bringing up a really good point. Okay. I think what when you reduce this down, what it amounts to is that there are individuals who, for some character attribute, personality trait, maybe they have a low resting heart rate, maybe they're thrill seekers, maybe they're a little bit deviant, because based on his pattern, even before Diana passed away, seemingly, and even immediately after, when he was a playboy and when he was out, wearing the Nazi uniform, drinking and womanizing, and what he said in Spare about the woman that he mounted out in the field and he insulted her physique. I mean, it seems like there were character attributes in him that had nothing to do with Diana passing away, and that maybe her passing away facilitated and enabled his attribution error, his making excuses.
It magnified
his own accountability. I mean, that's what I think.
It magnified his bratty behavior when she passed away. It was something worse.
Just to throw a little comment back at Green Hornet there. I'm not defending anyone. My brain just goes and likes to look at avenues that spark questions onto people's own theories. I think if we have an echo chamber of a panel, and that's what's beautiful about this panel. We've had disagreements, we've had all of that. And look, Twitter, if you're watching, there's 5 humans disagreeing with each other, but still getting along and being friends. You toxic fucking little bluebird bastard. So all I'm saying is, I'm not making excuses for anything. For me, I think there's a much deeper, for us to sit here and analyze 2 people that are from a culture and a society and a world that we can't even fathom that shit. Do you understand? Like the bedspread.
I'm going to throw you a curveball right now.
Okay.
Let's talk about siblings. Okay. Meghan Markle and Samantha Markle. I didn't know Meghan. I didn't know Samantha. And yet, Samantha, when I saw Meghan, I felt iffy stuff. When I saw you, I even remember the first picture I saw of you. I immediately knew that there was something wrong with Meghan and something right with you. And you are 2 siblings from, you have different mothers, but you come from, your father, you were part of the same father, you grew up kind of in that environment. And you have 2 different personalities. You're very empathic. You're very smart. You are and I'm not kissing your ass, but I'm just saying that you are a very nice, smart woman, and you are very empathetic towards other people. I don't see that in Meghan Markle. And you're sitting right here, and you for one example, you're taking live questions. You're going on a live. Meghan Markle would never do that. It's like pre-sent questions, authorized questions, stage answers, off comments, very controlled environment. So
if you're watching, Meghan, I would like to extend the invitation if you would like to come on the panel one week, Meghan. If you are watching, or if any of Meghan's people are watching, you're welcome here. It's okay. We can all disagree, Meghan. Just do it, Meghan. Do it. Okay. I think Harry's had too much woke therapy. I think a lot of people are falling into that category, sadly. But I just, like I say, just before Paula made her point there, I just want to just say, I have very little invested into Harry, and I've got more invested into Meghan and her since I met Sam. But I'm very much the wild card on this panel. Spot the one that stands out in the panel here, okay? So don't take what I say too seriously. I'm definitely not a royal commentator. These are the professionals that are surrounding me here. So take what I say with a pinch of salt. I just like to throw shit in there that makes Paula triggered and then go off on a fucking rant and tell me how wrong I am. That's the balance that we've found with this show. So
I'm gonna call out this comment. CKL.
I'm sorry, hold on. Michelle wanted to say. I'm sorry, Michelle.
Oh, yeah, Michelle. On you go. Sorry, I didn't. I've
a few times.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is, like I said, we're all diverse. We all have different opinions. But something about the sibling thing. My mom was an orphan, and she grew up in horrific. Okay, not with a silver spoon in her mouth, nothing. She was dirt poor, and she is one of the nicest people, and she hates people who use the victim card. But what I will say is, I do believe that Harry and William, when they grew up together, they grew up always knowing William would be king, he would be the spare, whatever. He was spoiled. But I will say, when you saw the interview when he was with Meghan, Harry very much wanted to be like William. He thought he was going to have Catherine and the kids. So he wanted to bring someone into the royal family and be just like William and Catherine. But instead, he got Meghan, who wants to be a movie star. And she kind of led him down a path. Now, I'm not saying he's innocent, but I do believe he is a little sad and jealous of what he sees with William and Catherine and their kids and the family. And what he has with Meghan isn't the fairy tale he thought he was going to get in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He thought it was wonderful.
You know what's interesting?
Yeah, I agree with you, Michelle.
When he's jealous and this is his family, is yes, he was very close with William. He was very close with his father. But what he's done over the past 3 years, no, I'm not excusing that at all. But I also believe he was under the influence and he was doing it for Meghan because he believed Meghan was his mother reincarnated. And as that little boy, he's saving his mom again. So I do believe Meghan's influence has changed Harry, not for the better, but he always had that within him.
Yeah, well, let's look at Harry's track record, right? Yeah. We had the incident of a young boy being racist for attention to his parents, okay? That's him trying to break the mold of being a royal. You had the incident where he dressed up as a very unpopular group of hateful individuals at a party. That is breaking the mold of the royal culture. The last thing that he's got left on his cards is to go against his brother. You know, oh, look at me, bro. I'm dating a normie. You know, I've got a Hollywood normie as a wife. And that blew up on his face. It's a repeating pattern of trying to show off and showcase things that repeatedly blows up in his face. And the more I talk about this, the more I realize how wrong I am about Harry being smart, if I'm being honest.
It's a point. You know what's worse? The worst mistake was because Meghan used the I don't want to be alive anymore card, which triggered his mother's thing about her mother. You know, that I do believe it happened. And he panicked and he thought, oh shit, what am I going to do here? And she wants to leave and that's what's going to make her happy. Because in his spare book, he says, you can see that he wanted to be half in and half out because he couldn't fathom being away. But what he didn't count on was that his wife never intended on staying in the royal family. So he should have probably said, you know what, Meghan, we're going to get you good, great doctors here in the United Kingdom publicly, but we're staying here. Because if you notice, she took off earlier and let him alone do the Sandringham Summit, or she always leaves him alone with the pile of crap that she creates instead of him standing up firm for it. It's just like Elton John with that court case.
Yeah. Remember, ladies, I'm the only man on the panel here, right? So there's one, you've not factored in a crucial thing when it comes to a man and a woman, especially when Harry's picked a woman from outside a selected pool of approved wives, okay? He is whipped. Okay, she is doing something with Harry that has never been done before in Harry's world, and he is whipped, okay? That's all I'm saying. And the fact that he's a recreational substance taker, the fact that she allows it, she allows all of that, it could be that Harry's world could be the private, intoxicated world where she facilitates his needs. And on the outside world, he just doesn't give a rat's ass because he's so disconnected from reality, possibly.
Well, on that happy note, I don't know about you guys, And Ron, since you're only the man here, like
Yep.
whether male or female, if you guys had lost one of your parents,
Yep.
and you marry someone who gradually seems to pull your heartstrings by mimicking that parent seemingly, and you get to the point where you got your new spouse, and they talked about it in Spare, I think, or I stand corrected if not.
Yeah.
I think Spare, talking about the spouse laying hands on stones and playing like Sylvia Brown and channeling Diana. Like if I married someone that started pulling that crap and pretending to channel my dead parent, I think I would like head for the door. I'd go, something's not right.
Something wrong with you. Something wrong.
But so when we talk about individual character attributes, yeah, perhaps she was filling a void, but he's not 5. So any grown man would have gone, this is kind of weird. You know, I'm sorry, I don't really want to smooch my mom. I don't really want to, you know, get with the mom. To be mimicking mommy so much is weird, and I think any of us would think that. So you have to wonder.
And Samantha, you can answer this. Isn't it really true that your sister was kind of spoiled? She was the daddy's princess. He raised her and gave her everything she wanted. So she has this attitude of, I'm in charge, you do what I want. And Harry just fell in line, I think.
No, I'm gonna burst that bubble. There are so many assumptions out there, and people are saying she was spoiled and Tom Jr. and Samantha weren't. Do you know, when we lived in Woodland Hills, we got whatever we wanted. It was during the 80s. Money was abundant. We didn't want that much. We were like kind of simple, but we were spoiled too. And when you look at the difference between perhaps Harry and Meghan, and you talk about siblings, I don't think it's so much about being spoiled, because, yeah, she got whatever she wanted pretty much. Harry seemingly did too. But there's something called youngest child syndrome, where the youngest child will compete with the oldest child. And it doesn't matter what kind of material things they have. The youngest child is always going to feel like second or third fiddle to the oldest too. So while everyone's thinking she's spoiled and we were jealous of her, no, we had already grown up. We didn't need our parents' attention. We were moving into young adult life and working jobs and distracted. But she seemingly still wanted to be the center of attention. And I think Harry might have been feeling the same thing too, not just because of the loss of his mother, but because of competing with Will. So I don't think it's fair to say that she was spoiled. I think there again are individual character attributes with Harry and Meghan that have been integral in their life choices. So, and I think that's reasonable to say. So I think to go different directions and blame it on parents or blame it on, access to money or blame it on this. Those are all just decoys. I think it stems from the individual.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm going to say 2 words here, and I want to say 2 words, and I want to hear your reaction. I'm going to start with PDINA, Megan Spencer.
You know what, girl? If she tries to brand herself as a Spencer, I'm going all in on her. That is an abomination. An abomination. First of all, people gonna forget that you were a Windsor. Like what? We just gonna magically think, oh, you're a Spencer now. Okay, you're rebranding. You're a new person all of a sudden. That is whack. Okay, I'm sorry. I cannot go with that. And people better be calling this girl out all day long. She tried to become a Spencer. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I just want to chime in. Someone said, Ron, are there conversations in your house that are sacred? Every conversation in my house is fucking secret. Okay, like you signed. Everyone that comes in my house is automatically assumed to have signed an NDA. What exactly are you getting at about Harry and his mother? No idea. I just say things and then I forget what the fuck I've said 2 seconds later. So you need to be way more specific than that. Okay, thank you, ladies. I've addressed that now. We can move on.
What do you think is urging this, PDINA?
That's Meghan all day long. That's Meghan trying to become a Spencer because she knows that she is taking a piece of Diana to be her. And I think Harry should, and I heard, will go along with that. Like, he doesn't have a problem with becoming Harry Spencer. That to me just says psycho. I mean, if you want to talk about mental illness and being warped mentally, that right there just is proof. Because I don't understand, what is she trying to make out of that new name? Is it going to now suddenly make her Diana now? It's going to invoke the Diana spirit?
But her daughter will, Diana Spencer, Princess Diana Spencer.
Yeah.
No, and when we talk about branding, it's not very realistic to try and create a new brand and shake off the old brands.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't.
Meghan Markle to the Duchess of Sussex to Diet to
Spencer. No, that's just whack.
It would be kind of weird. I don't think it would catch.
What do you think, Michelle?
I think when Tom Bauer came out, I think it had been discussed for a couple of years when they were doing the whole Megxit thing about going to Spencer. But yeah, I don't think it's gonna. I don't think they would change their name to Spencer now, because they've been the Duke and Duchess for 3 years, and she's really pushing hard on that. I think it was an earlier discussion when they were trying to leave, because they said if they became Harry and Meghan Spencer, they would get rid of the Duke and Duchess title. And he most recently said in an interview, well, what's the point of getting rid of the titles now?
Yeah.
So would have abandoned those titles. And I just want to clarify, Samantha, I wasn't insinuating that your dad did anything wrong. It was just because Meghan always said that she was her daddy's princess, and it was known that your dad did a lot for Meghan. And that's why I'm like, I just feel like she would have grown up, because she was so much younger than you guys, with that, she's very much in control and likes to get her way with things, and she snapped Harry into place. So that's what I was saying. I wasn't saying anything about your dad.
Oh my God, I love what you just said.
Yes, your dad was
nail on the head. Daddy's princess.
That's what she
said. So where's all this? Doria is the queen.
I was just gonna say.
She was never mentioning Doria. She didn't mention, in a lot of places. But I mean, she publicly said she was daddy's princess.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes.
Right.
That's the whole branding thing with her. So she's rebranding her mother as the savior now, but the history speaks contrary to that. It was always her father. And that's why speaking about her past and her history and talking about it is so important, so that people don't get misled to who she's trying to make us believe who she is. There's a whole history there of who this woman is that we can see where it is leading. And paying attention and waking up to the ways of this woman, it will behoove people, especially the Black community that want to vouch for her all the time, to really understand where she is coming from. You are being misled by a fraud in a very big way. People like Tyler Perry and others.
No, by two frauds, because Doria is lending herself to back Meghan Markle's lies. Like when she went on Netflix and she said that she raised Meghan from the age of 2. And then she went to that little Red Riding Hood, little school. And the teachers come out talking, I remember when you used to come here. Oh, nice to see you again. As though she was always the mother.
Yeah.
The narrative that Doria and Meghan are putting out there is that I raised Meghan to be this strong Black woman, and Thomas Markle is the one who spoiled her, and he wasn't.
Thomas Markle raised her to be a biracial child. She is not a strong Black woman, and that's what the Black community want to brand her as, a strong Black woman.
Well, I need to add something to that, because even as a Caucasian woman who grew up in Los Angeles a lot of my life, I was really offended watching the Immaculate Heart speech. The same did and with aligning with George Floyd, and I saw men with guns and ashes and a tree burned in front of my house. What kind of holy malarkey crap do you think the graduating class of Immaculate Heart and the Black community are going to buy? Dad took you to Palm Springs for 6 days so that you wouldn't see it. You were playing with Barbies and living it up in Palm Springs, girlfriend. You were not watching men in bands with guns. And to do that over a sensitive issue like those who truly do suffer racial discrimination, who were really like down with the George Floyd thing and who really were present during the LA riots. How dare you? You think you're all that and you want people to believe that? Show a modicum of evidence because you weren't there. You were in Palm Springs. I just think that's so wrong. So yeah, talk about exploiting the Black community. Let's talk about that.
That's what she's doing. She's exploiting the Black community all day long, and it's horrible because she wants to come over like she should be. People should sympathize with her and her struggle. Girlfriend ain't had no struggle, especially being a white-looking woman. You know, you don't have those struggles. You have so much privilege, and to not talk about that is just, I mean, just trying to deceive people. That's
and the house on Vista Del Mar, there was no burned tree in front of the house. Where did that come from?
Yeah.
There was no, you know, just the whole thing. And to play that and to have it, you know, searchable on Google and have all of the people at Immaculate Heart who needed inspiration, who needed a real voice of female empowerment, we're getting fluff. We're getting some machination of the mind to create a narrative that wasn't real. And I'm sorry, that is very fundamentally wrong.
Very much.
I just want to say,
you're a person here. I think you're the only one in this panel who can talk about how that made you feel listening to that bunch of horse.
No, I mean, I'm Caucasian. I was feeling for everybody who suffered through that. I can't claim that I know exactly what.
No, I mean, PDINA, how do you feel?
But because I knew it was a lie, I was thinking, oh my God, my heart was bleeding for the people who are really suffering and believing this smoke being blown in their direction as a decoy from the truth. It's like you don't do that to people. You know, if you want to empower women, let's talk Gloria Steinem. Let's talk about female voices. You want to uplift women, you want to empower women, you tell the truth. And you teach them the benefits of the truth for their own inner strength and advancement. You don't role model lying, my friend. That's just not right.
Yeah, she wants to paint a fairy tale that's just not there. It's so wrong.
How did you feel, PDINA, when you hear her talk that way? I mean, and you know that it's a lie. When you found out that it's a lie, and you still see the Black community.
I just feel sad for the people that fall for her because, you know, that people are so caught up in wanting to have this community of sisterhood that they overlook with the words coming out of that girl's mouth. I mean, at some point you have to look at, well, who is she as a person, her character, and they sidestep all the things that are blatant lies for the sake of wanting to be with your sister girl and empowerment. I mean, I've gotten so much flack about the things that I have said about Megan just because I'm another Black woman. And it's like, okay, well, when does having integrity and speaking truth to the real struggle of people that are dark-skinned, the poor Black girls that have been humiliated and just racist attacks on them because of the color of their skin, things that Megan has never experienced. She takes out, she makes up things that have never happened. But what about the people that these things really do happen?
But PDINA, doesn't it make like you feel and women of color feel? If you got someone lying to you and pretending to be someone else, isn't that saying that being just myself or being just yourself isn't good enough?
It's just not enough.
Isn't that an insult in a red box with a bow around it?
Absolutely it is.
Because you're confident in who you are and strong, and you want the world to know that, and you want the world to be inspired by that, and you want to feel proud of it. You don't lie about it. You don't hide it. Because that's like saying I'm not good enough and I have to lie and hide things.
Right.
So how does that make young women feel empowered? It makes them feel like they've got to lie too because they're not good enough.
Yeah, well,
not only that,
they don't even know that she's lying. They look at it as truth. You know, they look at what she's saying is the truth. And I just wish people would stop trying to buy into the narrative that, you know, just because she's got a Black mother, she's had a certain kind of life that Megan's trying to feed us. And that's just, I don't know.
But I mean, that must have been very divisive for you because you were calling her out and the Black community was turning on you. I remember
Yeah, all the time. And I think that's the lack of education personally.
Yeah.
That's why I feel is we need to be having some serious teachable moments with folks. You better wake up and try to learn something.
Hell yeah.
Try to wake up and try to get some knowledge in your head because you know your life's crooked sideways, not understanding things, basic things, like what Dr. King said. You know, it's your character. You know, we got to get out of these brandings of like this empowerment, sister girl. How dare you do that to your sister girl? You know, okay, I get that, but let's like look at the basics of truth and being honest and having integrity about yourself. It's at some point wake up and stop being so ignorant. You know,
you need to have positive role models for that represent your culture. You don't want to be having role models that are, you know, cooks or stuff like that. You don't see that in the Latin community or even the Jewish community. I mean, the Jewish community, they embarrassed by somebody who's cook, and they would never ever. In the Latin community, you don't make it to jail. You know what I mean?
Right, but we'll fall for anything, hook, line, and sinker.
Guys, but I think with young people of any ethnicity, when you've got someone out there and the implied message is that you have to lie about who you are and pretend to be this fake image or be white and be royal or be this or be that, do you know what that does for a sense of helplessness if they can't reach that goal? If they can't
amplify
A-type personalities. That's why suicidal ideation is so high. So you want to be empowering people to believe that they are perfect just the way they are and that they can grow and make their lives themselves and, you know, the world around them to some degree, whatever they want with a lot of effort. But it's not lie about who you are because that undercuts everybody.
And how dare Doria for not speaking up and saying the things that she knows that are not the truth? You know, that she's just aiding and abetting this bad behavior of Meghan as a Black woman. You know,
she's not going to alienate herself from the Meghan club. Do you know what I'm saying? She's going to stay well in
shut her mouth.
Look, I just want to interject here and say we're at 344 likes. Can we just all take another 5 seconds to slap the like button, make sure you're subscribed, all that good stuff. Also, Healing Monarch, you got here too late. Have I missed much? Pretty much most of it, mate. But at least you're here now. So, I just want to say, more questions, anything else that you've got, get it in now. Let us know what is on your mind. Leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe and all of that as we continue on this evening, because I'm just going to keep this rolling until we all drop dead, basically. So,
I gotta say that it is an embarrassment. But no, sweetie, it's an embarrassment. I would say, I mean, I can speak because I'm not Black clearly, but from a Latin community, you know, like we get ridiculed all the time. But when we have people like that, I mean, we make fun of them publicly and nobody would ever think of using them as a role model. So for me, it's incredible that, you know, I see like the fact that the NAACP.
Yeah, they gave her an award.
But you know what?
One of the whitest,
listen to her.
The only publicly acknowledged racist of the royal family, standing there at the NAACP, and they got like $100,000 award.
Yeah, I know. It's man.
I'm just gonna go and gonna go and get a drink. Everybody, I'll be back in less than a minute. So
yeah, you guys,
try not go.
Whatever happened with the Ripple of Hope Awards? Like,
which one was that one?
The Ripple of Hope Gala, where they took an award for battling racism within the royal family. Like when they retracted it and the articles came out that said, we never called the royals racist. Did they give back the award? Did PR do a follow-up and say, oops, that was a mistake? That was less than honest. So you can't say you didn't call them racist and then also not only do the Oprah thing, but then go take an award. And it was blatant for battling racism with structural racism.
Right, within the royal family is what they said.
So you're acquiescing to the fact that you are calling them racist by accepting.
By accepting.
Sorry, that's my opinion. That's, you know, that's the way it goes.
I've always said that awards are your sister Meghan Markle's love language. It makes her feel validated to get these awards, I guess. But it's funny because half these awards people have never heard of before until Meghan got them, and you've never seen a royal or ex-royal win so many awards. It's like they give out awards, they don't receive awards.
Well, it's like
get an award.
Yeah, it's like the person you walk in their bedroom and they've got all these bowling and hockey trophies. You ask them if they're bowlers or they play hockey. Oh, no, I just like the trophies. I don't.
I used to grow up with people and they would have all these awards for like showing up, third place. I'm like, you're proud of that? Like, why are you showing this? Your whole room is an award. It was just like, okay. But I mean, I guess it makes them feel validated, right? I just think it's hilarious.
Also, you know how funny that you were talking, Michelle, that now that the Earthshot Prize has been announced, to be going over to Singapore. Now Harry's playing Paul in Singapore, right? It was the same thing with the JFK.
Right.
When Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales, went to Boston. I mean, that was a major event. Did you see the motorcade they came in? And then, of course, the RFK comes on. And of course, no motorcade. And then we have, I don't know, I mean, it was an embarrassment. It's really second rate, but it's just like they're following on each other's, they're trying to copy everything.
Right. Air in the spare. Like he's always, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Poor little Howie, he's always trying. But it's really sad, but it's almost comical. Like we can almost call it out, like there's going to be, so now the Earthshot Prize, he's now going to play polo for Sentable. And, I'm sure Meghan's going to pull something out of her hat, they just can't stand it.
Something else, I was going to pull something else. But no, but PDINA, I wanted to ask you this question because I saw this on your channel. I think you were talking, I do watch your channel.
I watch everyone's channel.
You went to the UK, right?
That's true. Yeah.
Did you do any survey while you were there, talking to people, asking questions, or how was the mood? Did you wonder? Did you see if there was anything positive that people thought of Harry and Meghan in the UK?
Well, I did go to the Tower of London, and I did ask questions on camera, and a lot of people. Well, there were some Americans that didn't think much of her. A lot of people, they have an opinion, but I think they're afraid to say it on camera, to be quite honest. They seem intimidated. That was the impression that I got, to the point where I just kind of had to wrap it up because, I mean, it was just so much. And then there's this guard that was one of the tower guards. I wanted to ask her the opinion, and she was like real hard and blunt with me, like forceful, like didn't even want to look at me and answer the question. And I feel like there's an intimidation or something because people just don't feel
the royal guard with the hats.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to interact with them. You're not allowed to go.
Oh, you're not.
No, like you
American doing it.
I'm not being funny. I'm sure.
Maybe that's why they didn't answer.
They're not allowed. They're not allowed to talk to you. They're not allowed to look away. And if you harass them, I'm sure there's a weird 100-year law where they are just allowed to shoot you if you're in the grounds of the palace. Google tourists interacting with royal guards, and you'll see it's hilarious.
Yeah, but I think that's where you go. I think it's just like anywhere, you can't generalize about people, because while we'd like to think the old never explain, never complain, we assume the generalization. We say, oh, the British are so stoic, they don't really talk about much. It depends on where you go, because if you go to a pub or a restaurant, I heard people hooping it up, and they were loud and boisterous, and they were sparing no detail. And if you look at, of course, British comedy, it's all over the field. So I think that being said, it was probably because of who you are, being American and around a royal event. And people don't want to be seen on camera being like that, but left to their own, privacy and accord.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go undercover and ask people.
No, I'm just saying, I would have paid good fucking money. Type 1 in the chat if you would have paid good money seeing PDINA trying to fucking interview a royal guard. Okay, I'm just saying, after this show's finished, go and YouTube search people and royal guards. They scream and shout at tourists. They terrify children. They don't fuck around. They're the one part of the military that is got separate rules than like anything else. So that is.
I actually did see one of them speak, Ron, but that's because the lady was, I think it was a guy on a horse, and the lady was touching the horse, so he told her.
Oh yeah. They can speak.
He shouted at her. The woman then was really crying or upset because you know those horses you cannot touch them because they're very sprite. You know
you don't. They're not allowed to engage you in conversation. They'll fucking tell you to piss off pretty rapidly though. I mean they will aggressively make sure you don't make that mistake again. So listen, I just want to remind everybody we have a massive interview tomorrow with Samantha. It's going to be on this channel live tomorrow. Anybody that wants to get some questions in before we start winding down, make sure you do that. And yeah, I just want to thank the mods again. We're not ending. This isn't a wind down. I'm just getting near that point. But mods, I just want to say thanks to the mods. Thank you to the mods, everybody. As we're at this point, make sure you like and subscribe. Okay, and now we can get back to Paula.
I wanted to ask you a question because you know when Megan phoned your father and said, "Dad, I met a prince." Did you guys believe her? Did you guys even think that she was hanging around that kind of circle? I mean,
that's a great question.
Because can you imagine? I mean, I don't know. For me, it's like somebody makes a prince.
Take us through it all. Now that you've said that, my brain's gone crazy. I want to know about everything. Was she giddy? How it went? Tell us everything.
Okay, so you guys, you got to kind of keep it separated.
Okay.
We grew up in Los Angeles. My dad worked in television. We were at studios, whether we were in Beverly Hills or at the beach. When you grow up around celebrities, many of whom are like entertainment royalty, you kind of become desensitized because you realize, and I've said this before, and people don't get it. People are people, so you know that all the toys and all the titles and all this doesn't really make people.
Sure.
So naturally, were we surprised? No, because we had all met people from all walks of life and even royalty from other countries in our own lives. So you get to where you're happy to meet someone.
Yeah.
You want to know what they're like. You respect them. Yeah. But it's not all this, oh my God, you're not going to believe who I met today.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
That doesn't happen.
I grew up around the King as well, Burger King. So I get it.
But you know, Samantha, I've seen A-listers. For example, Reese Witherspoon. I mean, and other A-listers in royalty. I mean, when she was told that she could meet Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, when they went to, I mean, she even went to Ellen and she's like, oh, giddy. She's like, because royalty is separate than celebrity. This is why Prince Harry was able to stay at Courtney Cox's house without knowing her, just by waving that title that the Prince Harry, because of course, you know, and I think that mostly because they're Diana's children. Well, that's what sets them apart from other royals, that they're Princess Diana's children. I really do believe that.
No, even given all of that, then let's go back to individual personality traits. I was never very sensationalistic. My brother, not really, but could be. My dad, definitely not, because you get to a point in your life where you're just chop, matter of fact about everything. And those things are not impressive. My attitude was, growing up, if you can part water, I'll get excited and I'll blink. And I think the only autograph I ever asked for in my life was from Fred Astaire when I saw him in Beverly Hills, because I admired his dancing. He was so fragile and old by that time that I wanted him to feel like somebody remembered him, and that. But it wasn't like, oh my God, it's Fred Astaire. You know, that's weird to me. That like kind of excitement I don't get. Yeah. But I'm not that kind of personality. So. Okay. When she called Dad and, you know, he said that, it really was, well, is he nice? What kind of guy is he? And I think my dad especially was thinking the same thing, because it doesn't really matter if somebody's a prince. it doesn't matter if they have billions of dollars. You know, you can be a jerk and have all the toys in the world. And I think sometimes the people with the biggest toys and the most resources are jerks and take things for granted. So naturally, my dad would be like reserved, still wanting to know, who's this person courting my daughter? Will she be in good hands? But you don't think that right away. You think that when it got closer to the wedding, those are normal. But when someone just meets someone, it's like, okay, you met them, so, you know, until you're actually getting married, then you want to consider more things. And it's like, well, wow, if he's a great person and makes her happy, then cool. And that's when family members start getting excited. Whether it's a shoemaker, sorry, but that's true. There are a lot of amazing people who work in normal blue-collar businesses, all walks of life. You want them to be happy. So,
but here's the thing: you were not, and your dad are not starstruck by a prince, but clearly your sister was, because that's the first thing she mentioned to her father. So it was a big deal for her, because otherwise she would have said that I met somebody, but oh my God, she was excited saying that she met a prince. You know what
I don't think she was starstruck because she had been in the industry too. I think maybe that's what she wanted. So maybe she was happy that she met a prince. But sources have said that it wasn't a surprise. Now we find out in retrospect, seemingly, that there was a lot of planning and acting and plotting, and arrangements were made to try to meet him, to mingle in those circles. So in my opinion, I don't think she was really surprised. I think she just wanted my dad to be excited for her.
I will say though, if she was to marry a shoemaker, it would probably be freaking what's the name? Steve Madden, whatever his name is, the guy that makes the really expensive shoes.
Or you know. But I think Meghan is starstruck. I'll tell you, and this is just my opinion, because this is a woman who didn't mingle in A-lister circles. She's always wanted to be part of the A-list group. There's one thing to be around the environment. It's a different one to be actual part of it's like, you know, when you're around the cool kids in school, but you're not in the cool group. There's a big difference. And for Meghan, from what I've perceived, she's always wanted to be like part of the it crowd, and she wasn't around A-listers in Hollywood, you know. She wasn't around stuff like that, you know. So and from what I've seen, I'm you know, because she is, you know, she's talking about, you know, otherwise she would have had better roles. She would have had a better career. I mean, nobody knew who she was. And for a person with that kind of level of narcissism that she portrays to have in public, that must have hurt her ass. So for her to actually meet a prince who can elevate her and instantly give her, which he did, notoriety, and access to these A-listers, that's a big deal for her.
Well, you're talking about extrinsic rewards versus intrinsic. So there are some people like my dad who work in the industry their whole lives, and it doesn't matter whether you're around people like Gwyneth Paltrow, other A-listers, or actors on the set at ABC. You realize that most actors are really normal people. Most actors worked very hard to get to where they got to. Most actors are not all that in a bag of chips when you see them in their everyday life. They're people. And the big screen makes them this big sensationalist thing. And maybe that was what sold my sister. Maybe she believed all of that. Maybe she was impressionable and she wasn't looking at them as people. Maybe she didn't care. Maybe what she cared about, like you said, was seemingly elevating herself. So to the rest of us in the family, it wasn't a big deal, but to somebody who hinges her advancement and stars to that, and that matters to, that would be a big deal to her. Again, it's personality.
Well, I mean, you're a better person than me, Sam. If my brother had married a princess, I would have lost my fucking shit, and I would have been monetizing that fucking situation rapidly, okay? Monetizing it up to the max, just because, you know, I'm just saying, I think you handled it well, because
Yeah.
I think most people would be starstruck at a celebrity. I think most people would be starstruck at royalty.
Right.
But the fact that it never impacted you in a way that changed you, or dropped your morals to side with your sister or whatever, is definitely it's an impressive factor, because I think a lot of people would be intimidated and swayed by any of the royals coming into their bloodline, really. Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, that history, you're now ingrained in history. Your family is, and it's yeah. I would have lost my fucking shit, man. I would have been
lost my mind too, because I was a huge Princess Diana fan. I grew up with Princess Diana. I was obsessed with Princess Diana. I loved Harry in 2017, 2016. So if someone would have said he's showing up down the street, I would have hightailed it down there like crazy. I loved William and the family, the royals. So I don't know how you kept your cool, but like I said, I was a royal fan for years. I don't know about Hollywood, but royalty, Princess Diana, oh my God.
Well, but
Yeah.
and this is not an insult, but when you look at royalty, when you look at people in royal families around the world, they have problems, they have sorrows, they have everything that you have. They just have a lot of money and they've been media hounded. Yeah. So they're blown out of proportion. And really, that's all it is. And if you look at it, I mean, the Diana thing, even when I was young, back in the 80s, I didn't really pay attention to it. I sort of didn't snap until she passed away. And then I heard all of the stories of Dodie, and I heard all of this, and I realized, wow. So it wasn't all of this fairy tale stuff. There was a lot of interpersonal drama going on, and it's very tragic. Yeah. But even within royal life, people are flawed. They have to make mistakes. They have to grow. And because of that, I can't be a fan of anybody unless they walk on water, because we're all human. So I'm sorry, that's just saying a lot of people, because they have such grandiose expectations, even demands of celebrities and royals, that's why suicidal ideation is so high. They can't be vulnerable. They don't know who they can trust. They don't know who they can talk to. And they have to live up to the image that PR and paparazzi put out there, which is so far from realistic.
Of course.
That when she said that, it was like, it just hit me as, see what happens.
Can I just say as well, before you all start going fucking mad in the side chat, that Sam's defending these people. Sam is breaking down the difference in culture between their world and our world, and talking from a general basis on human versus human. And the fact that someone has privilege, Harry wasn't asked to be born. None of these famous people asked to be born if they were born into privilege. And we're not defending anyone. We're breaking down the difference in the human cultures between the two. Just before you start going, me, Sam defending them, me. I'm just getting ahead of that, okay?
Pat, you have worked in Hollywood and stuff like that. You have worked in Hollywood and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the fact of the matter is, we all know that stars and royalty are flawed. But this is why they have fans all over the world. This is why their movies sell. This is why the monarchy is a billion-dollar industry. I mean, would you be impressed meeting how do you see that? I mean, do you think that Meghan would have been impressed, given the fact that that's the first thing that she mentioned Harry by title and not as a human being?
I think she would have been very much impressed and excited, because she knew it was a career elevator. She was excited because of what it was going to do for her career, and she had been working so hard with her hustle as an actress. It was a game changer in terms of that. So I think absolutely, yes, she would have been excited.
Well, and we've seen the downward cascade of what happens seemingly when someone meets someone of a certain stature and their expectations don't pan out. Everything, the fairy tale didn't work, and they start to see flaws in the individual. Mm-hmm. Maybe they don't get along. Maybe they, I think the point here is, can you imagine how celebrities, even some royals, feel that there are a lot of people that only want to know them for who they are? How lonely would that be? Like, if you have a bad day, oh my God, you can't show anybody because it'll be in the news, it'll be the paparazzi.
Mm-hmm. But do you not think those?
No, my God, she was paranoid that people were using her. All of her trolls were like, "You're just using her because she's the Duchess." Can you imagine how the royals and others might feel when someone marries into the family? wondering, is she just using us? Does she really love him? And families go through this who are at that level, and that's a really lonely way to live, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we were assessing that from outside that. I mean, maybe you're a little closer to that culture than I am, but I think when we try and get into the mindsets of this, I think we're pushing what we would consider loneliness and things that would make us lonely. But I think that when you're born into something like that and you grow up and that's normality, there isn't a reference point for that, if you see what I mean. But I could be wrong because I'm just a dumbass on the internet, and I'm not saying
okay, where are all his friends now? Where are all the people that he thought?
No, but he's ditched his friends because of your sister, not because he has betrayed each and every friend of this. Not his friends were there with him, and he had friends up until the age of, when he married Meghan, to the point that he didn't even invite his best friend to the wedding party.
I agree with you. I think Meghan has played a big part in this. It's very Scientology the way she operates. Like,
their whole wedding was Hollywood.
Family, distance yourself from your friends. Come into here. And again, Sam, I can see Sam's brain just ticking over there. She's about to teach
and let me just remind you.
Educate my ass here, real harsh. I can see it.
No. But let me remind you something. Prince William, and Princess Catherine are able to have private lives that we don't know about. They're able to, we find out about their occasions after, when they do a Christmas. We never see them because they actually have private lives. But if you look at that, sometimes you get the odd picture. But and this is all because of Princess Diana. There's a lot of things that have been put in place. But please think about it. We don't see pictures of Prince William's vacations with the kids. No, we don't.
Exactly. Well, I mean, but you also hit on another good point, Paula, and that is they make a point to live a normal life. They're not attention hungry. They don't strike me as being desperate for attention.
Whereas they're just doing their jobs.
Wait. This goes back to the youngest sibling thing. This goes back to the youngest sibling thing. You got two people who got together that were the youngest sibling in both of their families, who were always seemingly struggling for attention because they had older brothers and sisters who got the clothes first, who got this, she's older, so she's the leader, he's older. So, and I think the youngest sibling in so many families struggle with that now these two get to a point where they can have all the media attention, they can pay PR. And it seems like that might have been an endorphin rush for them, and it just got out of control. And so I think it's a character attribute for both of them.
Yeah. And I'm going to say something, Samantha. I agree with you and don't agree with you on the assessment that you weren't excited about royalty, and your family wasn't, because they're normal people, hardworking. But your sister,
yes,
she was, because her whole wedding was about Hollywood. Your sister has wanted to be in the limelight. You don't want to be in the limelight. You're a professional, but your sister's different.
100%.
Star.
And I just want to segue in again. You're going to learn so much in this interview with Samantha tomorrow. Okay, there's stuff in there that I would just love to talk about just now that backs up everything everyone's saying, because we talk about Meghan from a young age, and we don't actually go into a lot of detail just in case there's any like legal departments watching. Okay, oh shit, I just knocked my light over. But we talk about things that really reinforce the thoughts we all have on Meghan, because we can see the trajectory and how young an age her mindset was like this. And when you're small and have zero accountability instilled in your mind, and I don't mean from a parental point of view, I mean you were born without the part, okay? It's an incredible interview. So tomorrow with Samantha, come and watch that. Now, I just want to say one more time, throw this out there. Anybody who's got questions, get them in now. We're hitting the 2.5 hour mark. I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching. Please make sure you like. And again, once again, to the mods, Ray J, and the rest of the team, you're doing a great job. Now, Samantha, I just want to throw this to you because you've been bombarded this evening with questions. You've put a lot of information forward. Is there anything you'd like to bring up? Is there anything that you'd like to throw at us? And I just want to apologize. I am melting here. It is so muggy here, and I'm melting. So I keep turning the camera on and off. So I apologize for that. But is there anything you want to throw at us? Because that you can talk about, obviously.
I mean, I think and I really appreciate everyone's opinions.
Yeah.
I learn a lot from you because I can only look at things through my life lens.
Sure.
And I might miss things in the media that you guys catch. So it's really cool to hear everyone's perspectives.
Of course.
That being said, you know, from the beginning of all this, I think what's so fascinating now, and most of you have addressed this, is that there seems to be this worldwide understanding of how media and PR shape social perception. Like from the beginning, I mean, everybody was high on this royal fairy tale. Nobody was talking about anything negative. And when behaviors started being demonstrated on the world stage that had consequences, some media spoke about it honestly, other media tried to cover up or make it look cool and eclectic. And it's then that I noticed people on social media, you guys, your friends, my friends, everybody's friends, started sparring about what was real and what wasn't real. So do you guys feel like, to some degree, with all of this, that you have been personally, professionally, and otherwise, I won't say victimized, but influenced in both good and bad ways by the media and its effects on you? I mean, was there...
You know, for me, wasn't as much as being influenced. I just thought, Samantha, when I was listening, you know, when I first heard of your sister, I immediately Googled her, you know. I don't trust Google very much, but I did see, like, because she was being portrayed by the very same press as this A-list Hollywood. So I kept, when they said, hey, it's Hollywood, I know I'm old, and I know there's a lot of young new stars that come up that I don't know their names. So I figure she might be one of them. So when only Suits came up and a couple of liners here and there, I thought, am I missing something? And I got to tell you, there was the red alert for me was that statement that Harry put out when they were going out. And then I went to look for racism things and I couldn't really find them. So I thought that, and when she walked with him on Invictus thing, you remember she was wearing the jeans? To me, she was walking a trophy. You know, there was something about it, and I felt really awkward about it. And whenever I spoke out, because I spoke out very early against it, and I saw how you were trashed, how your family was trashed, when she had that, okay, she couldn't cancel the wedding ceremony, but she could have canceled the party. You know, your father has just had like a heart attack. God knows I would, especially Daddy. I was going through Instagram and through some things, and I did a video about it. The last public post that she did on the TIG was on June 19th, 2016 on Father's Day. I mean, this woman couldn't say enough nice things about Mr. Markle. And now he's the villain? You know, I kept looking for horrible things because people kept accusing you of selling her out. I still get those comments, by the way. And I'm like, when has she sold her out? The fact that she called out her lies? Because that's just my opinion. And for me, I've been facing a lot of backlash. I've been called racist, ignorant Latina. When I was in Norway, ignorant, whatever. Or when I tell them that I'm Canadian, ignorant Canadian, what do you know? Because of my accent. People have blocked me. Other YouTubers have trashed me or called me names as well. You'd be surprised. So, but it has been very interesting that...
Do you guys remember, and I want to point this out for a really important reason, like the media turned at one point, and that's when I learned about paid PR. The very first interview that I did, I think it was Entertainment Tonight, I was actually in support of her, saying good things. I said she reminds me of a cross between Lady Di and Condoleezza Rice. Our family wanted to support her. We wanted to show the royals that she had support, and that we were rooting her on to become everything she could become in that role. And that we believed that she could do it if she did her due diligence. So I wasn't bashing her from the beginning. And for articles to say that we bashed, we slammed, just because she and Harry started engaging in actions, whether it was the spending money, whether it was the lies that were being debunked, whether it was us finding out that there was an entrenched media agenda against us, then and only then did we speak out in a way that said, we're drawing the line. This is a lie. That's a lie. You were wrong. You can't be this way. And that would generate more articles that said we bashed. So to suggest that we bashed her from the beginning, no, that's a lie. That's a misperception. We only spoke out when we saw the media and paid PR putting stuff out there that wasn't true. And us saying what is true does not mean we're bashing. It's called tough love.
Of course.
Now, for any of you that have kids, I doubt you're going to let your kids just lie and lie and lie, and you're going to go,
Yeah, let me put it another way for you, Sam. Let me put it another way for you.
If somebody lies to you, you're going to go, that's a lie. You're not doing that. People want to, and the delinquent will say, you're bashing me. The adolescent will say, you're not my friend. No, I love you. And because I love you, I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm not letting you get away with your stuff.
You know, for those of you who are from relatively normal walks of life, you might not realize the papers and media will print fucking anything, right? So there's this culture that people believe what they're reading in the papers. Now, we're relatively old school woke, as in, you know that the media is full of shit, and you know that our governments are secret and we're secretly all being controlled by 12 people in a bank in Switzerland. All that kind of mad stuff, right? And so hang on one second. I'm sorry just to jump off here. Something has just happened on the computer. Just give me 1 second.
I want to ask you something, PDINA, because this is something, because I know you were a Meghan Markle fan. Just touching on what Samantha.
I mean, what's so sad is just listening to what Samantha is saying and breaking it all down. But the people that have already fallen for what has happened, they still believe that. Like, I have a friend in Germany, and she just talks about how it's wrong what they did to the Meghan. But I'm trying to explain how the PR and the media and what was said in the beginning, it's like the damage has been done, and they have their opinions, and it's so unfortunate.
But what turned you? Because you were a Meghan fan. What turned you? What turned you? We're talking to a former Meghan fan.
Well, it's like I was appalled. Like, here I am running a charity, teaching young kids about life skills and how to behave when you go abroad, and here's this woman on this world stage doing all these things that are against what I'm teaching, and I just couldn't believe it. And then that's when it hit me, when all the reports were coming out later, because in the beginning, like, I was like you, Paula, I didn't know who she was. I Googled her, and I'm like, she don't look back. Why would Harry have to put out a statement?
Let me clarify for something for all of you. I found out in no uncertain terms that there was an entrenched media agenda against me and my dad, as I'd mentioned on Tucker Carlson. What that means is, when you look at people like Harry and Meg, politicians, other celebrities who pay these PR firms like Sunshine Sachs, who work with the DNC, who have a lot of money, who work with Oprah, who work with Harvey Weinstein, you're talking about media PR firms that have a lot of power, and you can't raise your hand and say, that's not true, somebody listen to me, because by the time you start raising your hand, there are millions of articles out there in bold font headline saying you're a hater and a basher, and the world is already hating you, no matter what you say, because they are powerful. But for Harry and Meghan, when Harry was saying, it's the media, the awful media, well, no, I believe that he just doesn't like that they lost control of the media that they used to pay and control to fluff their image and put them in an amber glass bubble. And when that wore off because of their own actions and everybody stopped covering the slop, then they started bashing the media. But until then, they weren't bashing the media, were they? I mean, there were some people, they'd say, don't make racist remarks about my wife. I remember that. Because you're always going to have some clusters of media that are not in the paid bell curve, that don't dominate Google, that don't dominate cyberspace. And so I felt like he was coming out, addressing them, saying, look, don't say negative things. But the majority of the publications were always stroking their egos. He's so fabulous. He's going to do better up. He's going to be the new Silicon Valley giant. The media was definitely fluffing them up for a long time. That was seemingly behind a page.
That's insider information, Samantha. That's the thing. We have this information, but people are believing from the beginning the lies that were stoked, and
But this is
know,
why I'm asking you
because
because
most people
you believed that before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What kind of news? Because even when you turned and realized what was happening, the media was still in their favor. So what was it that made you
Well,
think twice about it? Because
when I saw her at Wimbledon and I saw that she had all the chairs around her cleared out, I'm like, the nerve of you, woman. You think you are so all that people can't sit near you. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That was like, my mouth just dropped open. Like, are you serious? Like the side eye. And I mean, for me, you have to have such an ego to on a world stage. Like, there are cameras there, like people can actually see you right now.
Yeah.
You're not just saying it, you are showing us how much of a narcissist you are, how much of an ego you have, that you don't want nobody sitting around you or taking your picture. Don't even look at
I mean,
me.
that's a bit cray.
Yeah.
I just want to finish my point before my computer went crazy. For people that are saying, if somebody was printing lies about me, not an opinion, not, oh, I don't like this guy, I mean, and lies,
we would sue them.
And then I started speaking out about it, and people started saying I'm bashing them. You must be fucking moronic to think that someone's going to have shit spread around the media about them and not have something to fucking say about it. So just to anybody who's been saying, bashing the media, all these things, fucking right. I'd be bashing them too. I'd be bashing them real fucking hard, real hard, because when lies are spread, and the way that it works, obviously, if you've got 100% of an audience and your audience is 20 million people and you put a lie out there, if 13 million people believe it and 7 million people don't, those are the people that are going to bash and argue about it. They're not going to be talking to the person that's put it out there. It creates division, and it also creates reinforcement for the opinion. And it's usually the majority that believe what they see in the news. It's a sad issue. It's the same with, internet clout and audiences. If, with great power comes great responsibility, as they say. And when you see that abused, it's horrific, but it happens daily in the media. So you just got to take it all with a pinch of salt, 100%.
And you, Michelle, when did you realize? Were you ever a Meghan Markle fan, and was there a turning point for you on that?
Well, like you, I didn't know who she was. And so when they said, oh, Harry has a new girlfriend and she's an American actress, I Googled her and I was like, oh, she's on that show Suits. I had never watched Suits and I thought she was very pretty. And I was excited. I was like, well, good for him. But to be honest with you, I didn't pay that much attention because we didn't know how serious it was going to be until all of a sudden she's on the cover of Vanity Fair. And then he makes the comment. And then, like, literally the next month they're engaged. I was excited for them. I really was. And I saw the interview that they did on their engagement. And that's when I was kind of like, it was a little different.
Yeah.
But for the wedding, I was so happy. I was excited for them because remember, I was a Diana super fan. Here's her son. I love the royal family. But I will say the week leading up to the wedding is when all the stories happened, Samantha, about your family. And I was shocked because that stuff never happens. Like Catherine's family, Sophie's family, you never saw that in the tabloids. And then all of a sudden there was the whole, will her dad walk her down the aisle? Won't he walk her? And I was like, that's a little weird. And then when he didn't walk her down the aisle and she went by herself.
Yeah.
And then she went with girls. It kind of rubbed me the wrong way because y'all have to remember, weddings are my jam. I love royal weddings.
Yeah.
Something about it. And then it was so, it just, all the Hollywood people there. She had her one mother there. It was like, no family? Like, what is going on? I just thought it was weird. And then it just kind of went like this and it went back up. Then we started hearing about them breaking away with the charities and then moving to Frogmore. And I'm like, okay.
Okay, so wait a minute. Do you guys remember in the Daily Mail and an interview with my uncle Mike Markle?
Oh, yes.
So he retired from the United States Embassy after 40 years and the Air Force. Highly credible. And so he had, not that he needed to, but he wrote a letter of recommendation for a 5-week study program as a favor to my dad for the study program in Buenos Aires that my dad paid for. The bottom line about this, so there was no internship, that was all, there was no working for the embassy, that was all a lie. It was a 5-week study program. But that's not an issue. What I'm talking about here is that Uncle Mike, you would think if you're marrying the royal family and you have any designs on going into politics or just being on the world stage, you would want to show him off like a trophy.
Absolutely.
You'd be so proud to have a foreign diplomat as your uncle at the wedding. Why wasn't he invited? So what happened was, and Piers Morgan, Megyn Kelly, everybody was pointing out the porcupines as they started rolling out. That first interview where we were trying to be really positive and uplift her because journalists sought us out. I was living privately in Florida and not under the name Markle, so it would be really hard to find me. So they went through the pipeline, they found all of us. And I think what happened was, even though we were positive in that first interview, why wouldn't she go, oh my God, my family is so positive. They're so happy for me. They're making me look good. They're saying wonderful things about me. Why wouldn't she be happy?
Yeah.
Why would there all of a sudden be this media push to silence them all? Oh my God, the media has found them. I got to throw dirt on them or my stories are going to come up as not true. Porcupine time. And you know, so the steam was coming out of the window in the kitchen, you know, and I think it just got worse. The media, like the reciprocal combative relationship with the media, us always wanting to set the record straight. We were like, where is this coming from? Why are they saying I bashed? My interview with her was positive. What is all this crap coming out? And then they were calling my dad ghetto dad.
Yeah.
You know, 3-time Emmy Award-winning dad who gave her everything is being called. They're trying to make us look like we came out of the ghetto. And you know what really sucked about that is I thought, wow, this sucks. If she's directing this PR, she's insulting people who do live in poor neighborhoods in Los Angeles that she was talking about around the LA riots. Why is this a negative thing? So if anybody comes from the ghetto, why are you making that look like it's a bad thing? Let's look at
She did
this.
that with Serena during her interview. She did that.
Well, that's just nasty because that insults a lot of people.
That's
we didn't live there. My dad's
also the what's it called? We did a video about this, Sam. This guy's that behavior panel. When they called you guys rednecks or something like that, like, you know, they try to make you sound like you were uneducated or something. This is the behavior panel. You know, they have a huge following.
I called out their credentials. I think they later found that, first of all, none of us has ever sat around with peers chewing on a blade of grass, being the stereotypical redneck. We don't, you know, watch hee-haw or yee-haw or all of that. And if people do, so what? That doesn't make them bad people either. So that stereotype was also insulting a lot of people. And I thought professionals don't insult people like this. You don't make generalizations about MS. Yeah. You don't make generalizations about strokes. You don't make generalizations about people.
Oh yeah, they were.
No, you don't call anybody. No, you don't call people rednecks. No. That's not ethical because that insults a lot of people who work really hard, who might live in a trailer, who might like beer and chewing on blades of grass. They might be wonderful people. So why are you making that a derogatory thing?
100%.
So I called them on that. I said, wow, you guys didn't do your research. You don't know anything about our family at all. And this eyebrow thing, I've been doing that. My dad does that. I've been doing it since I was like 2. So they said, it must be because of MS and the muscles in her face are weak. Darling, I was raising my eyebrow before The Rock was.
Yeah. Shit! So, that needs to go on a fucking hoodie. That man. That's a belter.
Like whatever.
That's a belter.
But they did say some cool things, and I tried not to chew them out too hard. But again, you guys can't believe everything you hear, and just because someone says they're a behavior panelist, that doesn't mean they're perfect. You have to put things on the scales and go, wow, would a psychologist be behaving in such an unethical way, generalizing about people they know nothing about? No, it wouldn't happen.
To the question.
Okay, yeah. There's a question from Michelle. There's also, just quickly, are you serious? You'll be to answer what's chewing on a blade of grass mean? It means you're literally chewing on a blade of grass. It's in the statement, okay?
I'm thinking of music videos like where there's a cowboy.
100%. I'm poking fun. I'm poking fun of the viewers, Sam. You don't have to explain this. I'm poking fun of them.
People who live a country lifestyle who have been stereotyped as rednecks because they hang out in the pasture or on the fence with the cows, drinking a beer, chewing on a big, blade of feet are grass.
The
And I
old,
met lots
old
of people
school
in the
redneck
country.
vibe, 100%. We have a question here from Michelle. We're going to take this question, and then I've got a little thing I want to talk about, and then we'll get back to the topics. So yeah, Michelle, what do you think the royals' feelings are on the way Prince Philip and the Queen were treated by these grifters?
Yeah, not good. You can kind of see back to the wedding when the Queen was there. She didn't look happy. I don't think the royal family really wanted him to rush into that marriage with Meghan because he didn't quite frankly know her. And there was already problems before the wedding with the tiara, with her family. They wanted her to make up with her father. She didn't do so because I believe the Queen and Charles wanted your family, Sam, to be there. And they kind of probably thought it was weird that she only had her mother, and there was the drama in the press. The Queen wanted to squash it. So I personally believe the royal family was horrified, about all the stuff that was happening to her family. They wanted it to, for Meghan to quiet it down, to make up with her father. And I really believe, of course, we all know Prince William wasn't a fan because he was being a big brother. He was looking out for his brother. He's marrying a woman who's divorced, who's an American, who's an actress, who doesn't know about the royal family, who clearly didn't want to be a part of the royal family. He was already having problems. And then they come into the wedding, and then there's the family drama, which of course isn't your family's fault. But I'm sure the royal family wasn't pleased. But by this point, her name was on the tea towel.
Well, it's like my father said, even Uncle Mike, who was disappointed and sad that he didn't get an invite. Yeah. The whole family. The bottom line is anybody would have been happy with an invitation just to put on their wall as a fond memory or in their scrapbook.
Yeah.
And so we heard later Neil Sean even did an interview and stated quite clearly it wasn't the royal family's decision about who comes to the wedding. It was my sisters. Mm-hmm. And when we found that out, there were a lot of, wow, that was a big head scratcher.
And let me
because we were supportive. Right. And I also heard later that the Queen wanted, the right thing done by my father. They wanted him invited and a proper introduction and respect. But I heard that she said no.
Right.
So how would that make you feel if you were our family and your brother or sister was seemingly the Wizard of Oz and the Wizard of Oz pulling all these strings behind their curtain that are so negative, and you're like, what is going on? What's all that drama about? I mean, it would have been none of the drama, the negative, none of it ever would have happened had they done the right thing from the beginning. And I don't mean the royals, I mean my sister and Harry.
I just want to answer something that's going on in the side chat here. I just want to say, Samantha was talking about when she was compared to be a redneck, okay, and was given reasons for why they were using it as a derogatory term, okay. She wasn't talking about rednecks and saying they'll chew on blades of grass, okay? Because we've got a mentally impaired viewer, okay, who's clearly from the hate mob. Okay, one second, Sam. One second. So I just like to say, Jin, you can come back here anytime. You've got a nose for this. So Sam wasn't. Those weren't Sam's words. She was discussing a point. Okay, before that starts getting fucking tweeted out. Excuse me for swearing. Sorry, whoever it is who said for me to stop swearing. Mute the button just now because I'm about to go off.
Okay.
So Sam's allowed to discuss how she feels and give examples of why she feels that way. Those aren't her words. That was what was printed about.
Well, I'm pointing.
Actually, what's the behavior panel?
Wait a minute. I'm pointing out that I chewed out the behavior panel for their use of derogatory stereotypes because one of them said that our family were a bunch of rednecks.
Correct.
Now, I've had friends who lived all over the United States, lived a country lifestyle, cowboys, people who do rodeos, who do sit on a fence with a blade of grass in their teeth. And some people would call them just rednecks. They're amazing people that work hard, that pursue the American dream.
Exactly, sweetie. Yeah, go suck your mom, sweetie. Okay, fucking idiot.
Knuckleheads to call us rednecks. That wasn't an insult to me. That was an insult to so many people who live that lifestyle, who are being stereotyped by these arrogant, unethical knuckleheads.
Not only that, they're stereotyping that life as something that is bad.
Right, right.
And I wanted to ask you something, PDINA, too, since you're here as well. You know, like, what do you think this whole mess with, for example, when you saw Tom, your brother? I'm going to ask PDINA because I think PDINA, you had a very good point about this when Thomas Markle wrote that very on point letter that now everybody talks about it. And how did you think he was right? Because at that time you were pro Meghan, I assume.
Are you talking about the one in People magazine with the friends that?
No, the one he wrote, Thomas Markle Jr., where he said that Meghan Markle was going to make Prince Harry's life miserable. He was going to do all this. And he turned out to be right in that letter.
Well, yeah, he was very right when he wrote that letter. I think during that time, though,
yeah,
the very beginning, wasn't it? And
there was a lot going on back then. He was also seen in the media drinking a lot. This is not I think he's come a long way, but he was flip-flopping in the media. Like one week he'd throw dirt at them, and then the next week he'd be saying she's amazing, you know, we love you. So he wasn't being consistent, and a lot of that had to do with drinking at the time. So I don't think that letter was prophetic. He kind of later came out and said, well, that's what they wanted me to say, as in whoever was interviewing him. And I said, well, you don't just do something like that. You don't say that right, because that has long-term consequences. Like, be consistent, be honest. But he was drinking and dealing with a lot of personal challenges.
Do you think maybe subconsciously those were his thoughts? Because it was pretty on point later. Because if we go back and read that letter, it does kind of seem like it was all true.
Well, but then weeks after that, he was praising her.
Right.
I think
But that's I think it's for peer pressure that he took it back for peer pressure because the whole press turned on him. You know, I remember he did the Big Brother thing. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I can see the people in the Big Brother in Australia pressuring him. Oh, you got to talk to her. So a lot of times it's peer pressure. So I really do feel that because maybe he had that drinking issue, he felt bad, and
No, I think he was pissed off that he was rejected because he was out in the media telling Harry to go to his bachelor party and didn't get a reply. I mean, there was a lot going on with him. I love Tom. I think he's come a long way. He's doing a great job with my dad. I don't think he would say those things now. And by coincidence, they've turned out to be true.
Yeah.
But at that time, he didn't know what was going on with PR. He didn't know what was really going on. I think he was just dealing with his own personal struggles and some rejection because they weren't responding to him.
Well, also, you know what people don't understand, at least maybe I'm wrong, PDINA, you tell me, and you, Michelle, as well. Let's put Samantha out of the equation. Let's pretend Samantha's not here just for 1 minute.
Okay.
Can you imagine if you have a brother and a sister who suddenly meets, I don't know, Brad Pitt, and she's marrying Brad Pitt, and it's a big social wedding, and none of the family members are publicly invited. None of you're not invited. Your sister doesn't invite you, Pat, nor you, Michelle, and it's made a big stink. And suddenly you start seeing all these articles about you. Forget about Samantha. This is just about you and them. That implies that something is seriously wrong with you, PDINA, and you, Michelle, because otherwise you would be invited to such an important event from your sister. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
feelings. Yeah, you would feel hurt and rejected. Not good enough anymore. And my heart goes out to you, Sam, and your family, because first of all, you guys didn't ask to be in the media. You didn't ask her to marry a prince. You were just going about your life, and the next thing you know, she's in the press. And I think it was crappy what she did to her family, quite frankly. And my opinion is maybe you're not close to your family, you don't have the best relationship, but you could be
we do.
But I think what's unfortunate right now,
patient and be nice. She could have been nice to you guys. It's not hard. But
right.
You guys
but again, I'm going to put you guys back to the clincher. We didn't know, certainly Uncle Mike didn't know, Dad didn't know at that time. We didn't know the greater likelihood, everything we see in retrospect, telling the world, lying in the Fiji speech and saying she got grants and scholarships. probably telling the royals when she met them, oh, I worked for the United States Embassy. That was my assumption. Okay, because when you meet, if her PR was putting it out there, why wouldn't she be telling the royals that? So when the media got a hold of us and she saw the media interviewing us, I would bet my life on the fact that there was like, oh my God, I got to seal the hatches and cover up because my lies are coming out. Because my family, even Uncle Mike, who worked for the embassy, is going to say, you didn't work for the embassy. Can't invite him to the wedding because that truth will come out right there. Got to nix that in the bud. So there was a lot going on that we didn't realize at first.
Right.
And we knew the truth, but we didn't see what was going on behind PR closed doors. And then PR started bad mouthing us to make her look better. Wonder why that is.
Right.
Wonder why, and there was even an article that made our uncle, who's a Greek Orthodox, a priest, almost a breakaway from the Episcopal Church, the Queen's Church. And they were making him look like he was satanic, making fun of his church, comparing it to the Church of England. I'm like, where is this disgusting, insulting crap coming from? Fred is one of the best men in the world, also retired from the United States Air Force like Uncle Mike. And these publications are out there disparaging him. What are they worried that he's going to say, yeah, she never worked for the embassy, yeah, this, yeah, that. So the media thrust was discredit everybody so this stuff doesn't rise to the surface. And if you were a family and your motive was just to tell the truth out of goodness and to be honest and say, well, no, that's not right in that article. She didn't work for the embassy. You're not doing that out of malice. You're not going to be enabling and go, oh, yeah, heck yeah, she did, even though you know it's not true. You have to tell the truth. It's called tough love. It doesn't mean you're bashing. Doesn't mean you're malicious, but KPR didn't like that. So the article started getting really nasty. And I just think it got out of control. And at no time, since they were paying PR, Sunshine Sachs, Sarah Latham, at no time did Harry and Meghan come out and say, and they can't say they didn't have control over it, because when he was offended at some articles about her that he felt were racial slurs, he came out and spoke and said, stop attacking my wife. Why didn't anybody come out and say, stop attacking the Markle family? Because I believe, and their receipts and logic holds, that it was being paid. And that's the only way the lies wouldn't come out. The first royal speech, I got grants and scholarships, and I know what it's like to struggle and have to have people chip in for your education, because I had to work for it. Bullshit. Excuse my French. You can bleep that. Dad paid every penny of it, and she knew it. And I sat with him and watched that televised Fiji speech, and it was like in the gut to him. Like, we were both teary-eyed, and I was like, oh my God, what is she doing? And I think someone pulled her off stage because they knew that wasn't true. Right. So the lies and the grandiosity, if Uncle Mike was at the wedding, he would have nipped that one in the bud real quick about working for the embassy. That was like, she told Craig Ferguson and Rachel Ray that, oh yeah, it's like kismet. Yeah, and I heard you're political too. You're a smarty McBarty, said Rachel Ray. It's Smarty McBarty. Yeah, I worked for the embassy right out of college. No, you didn't. You didn't work for the embassy. You didn't get a paycheck. You did a 5-week study program that Dad paid for and Uncle Mike put in a letter of recommendation for, and you couldn't even show enough gratitude to invite them to the wedding. What the hell? Come on.
What are you going to say? I was just going to say, this is where the big picture of everything that has happened really has to be made right. And I think Meghan has the responsibility to make right all of the things that from the very beginning that have happened and that have disparaged this family.
Ray J, that's me. Sorry, PDINA, that's me, Ray J.
Oh, huh? But I'm just saying, I think, because it's the seed has been planted now, and how people see your family now, and what they believe and what they still say that's not true is because of her not speaking out and making the wrongs right. And for anyone that comes out and holds Megan up on a pedestal or gives her the platform to say what she says, that what's been done to her and good for you for not talking to your family, these people are clearly being misinformed because of what she has actively done this to your family, actively have done something horrible to your family and to your dad and his health and all he's had to go through now. She has not spoken out against the lies that she's planted and been a part of. Everything that has caused harm to your family, your reputation. Because I know that there have been people that have spoken badly about your family, Samantha, that have come out and have said, we're sorry, because they follow the truth. They follow the news of how it's being uncovered, what was wrong. But to the people that do not follow it, the Americans, the Black community that see the headlines, they're not following it. They don't see that, you have been vindicated. They're still believing the lies that were planted by Megan from the very beginning. And I think that's where all the I say it a lot, the disingenuousness of it all, and how she's going to be in books. There are books about Black women that have come up and have done these great things. She's in these books as being royalty, like how she is being held up in this light with a foundation of lies is what really gets to me, because I see how wrong it all is, and a lot of people don't. And I just feel so sad and hurt that it can't be made right, because she will never say anything. She won't speak out against that.
Well, because that would be acquiescing to the lies. And one of the problems is, doesn't she see that she's doing a disservice to all of those who look up to her, who believe the gobbledygook? You can't inspire by lies. I mean, it only, it's like, the analogy is you can only candy coat a road apple so much before the candy coating wears off. You see it there. And it's really sad, because there's a much bigger picture. When you're leaving an imprint in this world, and children now and in the future are going to be looking at all of those fake fluffy articles that make her this wonderful historical figure because they're left skewed or they're paid PR. Those same people, you got to think and realize, are also going to be reading the fact that everybody was watching her and Harry break royal protocol, lie, porky pie after porky pie, 100 more lies clocked. Lying every 2 minutes in the Oprah thing, Megyn Kelly said she got her clocked at. And so when, how do you put that on the scales?
Right, yeah.
And young people will be, then the hidden message is, okay, since you can have all the accolades and everyone will write fluffy stories about you, just lie throughout your life. Is that empowerment of young people? Is that the message?
It's not, yeah.
When we're all dead, do we want everyone behind us lying through the world? Well, sorry for that future.
PDINA, you deal with a lot of young kids, PDINA. You deal with a lot of young kids that are, do they ask about Meghan Markle or anything? Do you know what perception they have of her? Do they consider her a role model?
I think it comes out when I ask about it, but I don't think she's getting the ground as a role model that people are actively looking to her as a role model. I think they'll see her, and I think the more they see her, the more they could be persuaded to have her as a role model. That's what I'm concerned about. But when I do ask people, like I went to the drive-through the other day at Taco Bell, and I just asked this girl about Meghan Markle, and she just thought, oh, I think she's great, But these are people that just are clueless really to the depths of what is actually happening. And for me personally, in educating young people and showing them leadership, true leadership, even when your life isn't perfect and when you don't have all the things go right in your life, you need to own up to the flaws of your life. And Megan, that's the problem. She doesn't want to own up to things that maybe have been flaws in her own life, that she just probably wants to look up the other way. But at the same time, she wants to paint over it like well, these are mistakes or things that I don't like about myself, so I'm going to paint over it with a lie, you know.
Correct.
And that right there is the worst thing you can do, because young people need to not be fed how to do certain things that are that's an abomination to your truth, right? You don't do that. And I think Megan is the worst person to be a leader. When I went to the Women's Fund event, there's so many Black women that I interviewed that were, oh, she was great, she was so inspiring, and they don't even see it. It's like it's right in front of your face, and you don't even see how she has manipulated you to believe something that is not true. That is what it's.
Okay, well, listen, just while we're talking about the future of our youth and the world, I'd just like to say Sean Atwood has a new family channel. I'm just linking it in the side here, and you can follow his journey with Jen and their new baby. Please make sure you go and subscribe. I'm going to call this in 15 minutes, guys. So 15 minutes will be ending the stream. Get your questions in. Remember, tomorrow, 2-hour-long interview with Samantha. It's an absolute banger. And up until about 5 minutes ago, somebody's been typing cat lady in the side chat, and I thought they were talking about Michelle because she picked up a cat, but there's actually someone in the side chat called cat lady. So that now makes a lot more sense. So but has anybody got anything they want to throw out there?
Michelle, you wanted to say something. You were about to say something, Michelle?
I was going to say I need to go soon, but then he said he's going to go soon.
No, but Michelle, for you, I mean, I'm going to say that for PDINA, I'm always fascinated by what she says, because were you shocked by how strong the reaction in the Black community against you was when you started speaking out? Did you expect that at all?
I did not. I thought people, surely you can see this woman is just, I mean, I'm trying to hold back here, okay? I'm trying to be kind, but surely you can see this. And for me personally, I think Black people that I've been in contact with that hold her up, they're just not in this royalty world. And I think that's what Megan banks on, that they're not going to really pay attention. They're not going to see it the way someone like myself would pay attention. Like Michelle and I, we followed this since Diana, right? Most people look at us like, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you care about the royal family? Why did you watch Diana's wedding at 5 a.m? You know, and for me, I'm just, that's who I am, but that's not the majority. Right. And I'm just taken aback at how the Black community has looked at my words as being mean and hurtful. But at the same time, you take what Megan has done to the royal family and you have her do it to their family. Oh no, she wrong. That's just a girl. Something wrong with her. Like, then they'll speak out, because then it's like, it's personal. Oh, you understand it now. But why can't you look at afar to what is happening to a family that clearly is trying to welcome her into their family fold, and see that just because her mother is Black, she is not to be praised, because look at how she's treating them. Surely you see that's wrong. Don't you think the lies and the manipulation and how she is her behavior in general is wrong? And they don't see it, or they just want to say it's there, but it's okay because they're white people. You know, it's okay because they're not Black people. You know, it's about time the sister girls start. You know, they make up certain things that you say, okay, you know what, something is wrong with you. Something is just clearly wrong. And I was hurt. Of course, I'm still hurt that people can't see the truth. And that's why I think education. I've always wanted to base my channel on learning and not just frivolously gossiping and saying mean things. We have to understand, okay, what can we get out of this that is about understanding human behavior and perspective better. You know, when I took psychology in college, it was such an eye-opener for me to see the dichotomy between different cultures and how the interactions and the behaviors. That insight I welcomed. You know, I didn't want to bash it. We have to think in our own world and how we want to be treated. it's not okay to treat even someone's family like this, even if they are royalty or you can't relate to them as wealthy people. We still have to understand that behavior is wrong, and you don't malign people. Like, you don't treat Samantha's family this way just because you think you want to empower this Black woman. Black people have to do better to say, no, we're not going to be looking at people for their skin color. We're going to look at how you treat people. And I think that's when racism ends. There's so much racism now because people always want to hold up their own race no matter what. And you got to get away from just holding people up just because they're the same color.
That's right. PDINA, you love your royally teachable moments. I think there is a teachable moment here. And I think a lot of people confuse self-preservation with self-love. So if somebody's out there lying, pretending to be someone else, it begs the question, is that really self-love? Is that really narcissism or just self-preservation? On the grounds that if you really love yourself, you don't lie about who you are because you think you're the greatest person on the planet. You're proud of everything you do. You're proud of where you come from, and you don't have to hide it or lie about it. So I'm not so sure a lot of these accusations of, I'm not going to say are not narcissistic, but I'm going to say that the self-love thing seems to be a little bit lacking, because if you love yourself, you don't lie about everything and do so much damage and keep doing it, because the consequences are not favorable to the self-preservation mechanism.
And you know what, Samantha, and the other thing is that the fact that Meghan and Harry want to be humanitarians and talk about mental health and talk about all these things that are to help people and to do good, and you look at their website, but do you not think about, well, how is the mental health for the family that you are trashing, and how you are making them appear in the public? And you know, you have your security, you have the money for protection, but how you are throwing your own blood to the wolves, essentially, because you don't speak out against what people are doing to them. And I just think you are such a contradiction to try to say you want to help people when you treat your own family with such disdain and nastiness. That to me is pure evil, because you're clearly using people that you say you want to help. Because if you can't love the respected people in your own home, then you're lost, because it starts in the home. It starts with the people who were there, who knew you before you were a duchess.
That's right. And if you're lying to the public, I'm sorry, you're abusing the public. You're not doing them any good by getting them to rely on a fantasy and hiding who you really are. If you lie to the public, you're abusing family, you're abusing the public, and who the hell do you think you are?
Right.
Okay, listen, I think we've covered some good ground this evening. I don't know where to go from the end of that point. So do you want to all maybe watch the Diana trailer together, and then we'll end on a little bit of discussion on what you think about that, and we'll end on something positive, you know, because that's the way we want to do things.
Well, you know, I gotta say, I gotta give props to Sam and something, because it's incredible. You know, when people say Meghan Markle is not powerful, in a sense she is, because it's incredible the destruction of many people's lives and reputation that one person has managed to do, given a platform to do it, and you have to fight really hard out of it. So good on you, Sam.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so we're going to watch our wonderful trailer here all together, like a little group of friends huddled around at a sleepover. Isn't it amazing? So let us, if we can all mute our mics, if we know how to do that, that would be great. And we'll jump in. We'll jump in. All right, here we go. This is
mute the microphone.
There is an interview up and coming with Diana's bodyguard. This is a trailer for it. I hope you all enjoy, and we'll have a little chat before we end after this.
And I just find it, and you know, Keza said, Lee, I'm telling you now, he wasn't drunk. If he was, why would we have let him drive? Why on earth would you do that? And Trevor, you know, he said, I can't remember, but I can tell you now, I know if he'd been drinking, there's no way we would let him drive. Why on earth would you do that? And so the toxicology report comes back and it's examined, and there's books written about this, Sean, right? But the interesting thing is when they went into Omni Paul's flat to search it, initially these couple of coppers go in, and they find, I think it's half a bottle of like a liqueur and a bottle of champagne type stuff. That's it. And they take it, they recover it, and they recover other things from this 1-bedroom flat, right? About 3 days later, they go back and search it again. They find enough booze in there to stock a small bar. It was what the paparazzi was doing to her boys that concerned her, not her. Yeah, she was upset about it, but as a mother, she was upset about this. And she told me she'd been to the Prime Minister then and asked him to pass this bill that was going through to make more laws on the paps and what they can do. And he told her he wouldn't do it. She told me this, and I have no opinions in politics. I'm not a political guy. But it was Tony Blair. And she said, I asked him, and he said to me, no, if I get the paps off you, they'll come after my government. You're going to have to live with it for a bit. And she said, yeah, it was shocking. I felt really, really angry when she told me that. It affected me quite a lot. And she said, I won't tell you the exact words she said, but what she said was, I refused to cry in front of him. I waited till I got out to my car to start crying. But I bumped into her on the ship, on the front of the ship, with massive glass windows, and I was looking for something. And she turned around, she's obviously been crying, she was really upset. And she said, have you heard about my friend Versace? And I said, yeah, I have. I said, it's really awful, it's horrible. And she said, what things happened? And I just said, it just looks like it's, it's been a hit, and nobody knows, it's breaking news and all the rest of it. She was crying, and she said to me, Lee, do you think they will do that to me? And the way she said it and the context she said it in, I knew it was aimed at either the royal family or the government. And at that moment, in somebody's moment of need and grief and desperation, that was how she felt. And I was like, whoa, this is one, I've got to get out of here, because she came very close to me. She just wanted a hug, and I wanted to hug her. When somebody's so upset, but imagine if the paparazzi would have caught that on camera.
Wow, Diana. Wow, she said that.
I loved her. I'm such a, like, nobody touches her. And I don't mean that she was a saint or anything, but I mean, this woman was put through the ringer, and not, yeah.
It's just so tragic.
I am going to look at that thing. Just leave the link so we can all promote it, because, I'm going to look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be watching.
Did you guys see in the one of their mini series that it was ended with my sister falling out of a car reenacting the death of Diana? That was. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, I heard about it, but I didn't know if it was actually done.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Who did it? Who did it?
It was a Lifetime movie. It was a dream sequence.
Wow, a dream sequence.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, that's pretty messed up. Okay. I just want to thank everybody for watching this evening. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you share, you leave some comments. Make sure you subscribe with the bell on to this channel to be notified of the new Diana interviews. Tomorrow night, of course, we have the Samantha Markle interview, 2 hours long. I just want to say thanks to the mod team. Thanks to all of the panel members. Thanks to Sam, Michelle, PDINA, Paula for giving up your time and being here. We've been here 3.5 hours. I can't thank you enough. So, Sam, I think we can't hear you for some reason.
Okay.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. I'm just going crazy. So just as we're exiting, does anybody have any words of wisdom for the people out there, or some positivity they want to inject into the internet before we leave?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Remember, it wasn't Confucius. Even my sister said this once. Be the change you want to see in the world. Honestly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, listen, I have been so nervous about tonight, the first live on Sean's channel. A big shout out to Sean and Jane and Mummy Sean and Daddy Sean, who Sean's visiting. So I hope you've all had a wonderful evening. Big shout out to you guys. Make sure you subscribe to all the channels and you go and subscribe to the Atwood Family channel. We'll see you back here tomorrow for that interview. And for me, as always, Ron Swanson. Be safe out there, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Good night. Good night.